Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Zachariah Meisenheimer.
It's me, Har.
Yes, three of us this week to celebrate Thanksgiving. It's a special weekend in the calendar. We get to eat lots of food. We'll come to that in a little bit. And we get to give thanks to everything. We're also going to talk lots of football. We're talking Whitecaps, MLS, Vancouver FC, Pacific FC, the Canadian Premier League, the CONCACAF Women's Cup, WFC 2, MLS Next Pro playoffs. We've got music about dead footballers. We've got Britpop songs and chats. Oh, such a packed show. I know you're thankful. You're welcome. But before we get into all that football chat, first of all, we'll just go around everyone, see how your week has been, and what have you been thankful for this year. Let's start with the ladies. Har,
I'm thankful
how's your week been, and what are you thankful for this year?
Week's been pretty good. I've been chilling, doing hard stuff. I had Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday. Then we had Thanksgiving dinner at the game this evening. Some
Yes, we
quite
did.
stuff.
Michael sent me photos of it. It looked delicious. And you
I'm
look very
just-
happy for it, Hart.
Yeah, I love a good meal. It's one
I
of the
said-
best ones we've had all year up there.
I'll come to the food in a sec. So yeah,
I'm just thankful that I have a nice place to live. I have my health so far. I'm doing good, kicking ass. So just help. Just thankful for all the things that some people take for granted. You know, we don't have any hurricanes, so that's good. Just thankful for like health and happiness, doing good. You know, same thing.
that's lovely. Zach, how's your week been? What are you thankful for in 2024?
Looking back on the year, I'm so thankful, obviously, for my family. I'm thankful for a place to use my gifts and talents where I work, which I'm really super appreciative for. I don't think anyone I work with listens to this, so I can say I'm thankful.
Probably just as well.
Yeah, I learned that there's a possibility, not a probability, but a possibility I might get to return to Costa Rica next summer, which would be great if it happens.
I saw your video with the houses that the kids made.
Oh
They were
yeah,
very impressive.
yeah. Those are. Well, it's just like this is a coloring sheet.
Are you gonna see Kendall Waston?
I saw him this summer. Did you not see? You not see that?
Oh, Hard doesn't listen to the show.
Hard doesn't listen to the show, right? Oh yeah, no. I got to hang out with. Got to go to Saprissa Hard. Got to hang out with Kendall after the game. Yeah, it was a good time.
Nice.
And the whole family.
Kendall gave him his jersey, gave him a tour of the stadium. They were all on the pitch.
Yeah, it was good. It was good times. It was really awesome, Har. I need to post pictures of it. I still haven't posted pictures of it. But yeah, this year I'm also just looking back at this year. Yeah, thankful for that trip, and it was amazing on so many different levels. And then I'm just thankful for the football community in general. In the Lower Mainland and across our country, and then a few people I get to connect with around the world as well. Some I talk about Flo every so often. One of my Bayern Munich buddies. There's a few of the dudes over there who I connect with, and Flo is the dude I connect with most and get to live vicariously through his journeys. He sent me a message the other day. He's like, "So we're in the van. We're in Andy's van. Andy Bruckner, who's this very he's the guy who works for Bayern, but is also an ultra or not ultra supporter. He's like, we're in Andy's van. We're heading to Bosnia. He's like, there's one seat in the van that's not taken. Wish you were here."
Oh,
But no, so
like a German invasion of Bosnia, was that?
actually the Bosnians are very appreciative of them actually. And I guess partially due to some historical things that took place that we won't get into. But what
a start.
Thankful, yeah, I led you to a place that is not good to take you. No, just thankful for the football community in general, and thankful for you guys. It's always good to talk and catch up and hear your insights on things that I have a perspective on and things I don't know as well about, and so I appreciate you and all that you bring. And then Michael, obviously, thanks for all you do to make this happen and meaningful and special.
Oh, thank you.
You're special, Michael.
It's often been said that I am special. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone that continues to listen and support the podcast and the site. And just it's been another good year commentary wise, and got to become the voice of League One BC again after not really doing as much commentary last year on the league, and I've had lovely feedback about the league. And I mentioned last week lots of nice comments at the UBC games. Someone this week said, we were just talking, I was like, might retire in a couple of years, and they're like, you can, you're the voice of UBC, it won't be the same if you go. And I was like, oh, how did that come about? But it's really nice to know.
Two things. Because talking about the voices, I know one of your partners there, or used to be a partner there. I saw your buddy, our buddy, Gideon, with his special friend.
I was going to say his new wife.
Yeah, sorry, that's it, new wife. And then can I also say one other person I'm thankful for?
Yes.
Who I don't think we've ever had on the podcast, and we probably should one day. And I'm thankful for him because he's the guy I see the most at the post match for VFC games, and that's ARG.
Yeah, I don't think Alex has been on the
he's
pod.
too big time.
But we need to do a joint one with Third Sub and get something out with them at the end of the season, which could be pretty soon. I mean, we'll try and get something sorted out.
It could be next week. They don't get their act together and win some games.
So yeah, just thanks to everyone that listens. Thanks to all the opportunities for this year. It's been another good year. Really enjoyed it. And I want to give a thanks to the Whitecaps as well. And also Vancouver FC. Like, both clubs have been very good this year with sorting out our interviews and making everyone available, whoever we need. Also want to give a special thanks to the Whitecaps today, as we kind of touched on there, because it's Thanksgiving. The game played on Sunday. And I joked with Caitlin when I left. I was like, oh, maybe they'll have a big Thanksgiving dinner for us. And then turned up, and they did. And it was really nice. It was turkey with the trimmings. And as I said, Zach mentioned, I sent a picture. I sent the same picture to Caitlin. She sent it to her dad, who was like, that's a lot. That's more than we had yesterday.
I think that was awesome. That was really cool that they did
it was really nice. I really appreciated that. I thought it was
really nice. Really awesome. The cooks who made it.
Yeah. Shout out to the Whitecaps PR. Jessica and Brandon for helping set that up and getting that in motion so everyone could have a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. I mean, it was very clever of the club as well, because it made me sleepy and unable to move for most of the game.
You had a coffee, though.
I did. It didn't really help. But yeah, it was a lot. I don't think they should have given the turkey dinner to Bjorn at Utvik, though, before he came out on the pitch.
Oh, snap.
I'm assuming that explains the slow start in the first minute. Segue, because that brings us on nicely to the thing we're talking about in part one, because it's the big Thanksgiving game. Over 30,000 in attendance at BC Place. What could go wrong? in the first 33 seconds, we found out as the Whitecaps went 1-0 down. Going into the game, Steve Cherundolo had said, "We'd like to score early, and that will allow us to control the game and dictate the game." Well, he got his wish. I don't think even he thought it would have been it that early. We'll get into the goals and everything, but the Whitecaps' woeful form continues. Winless now in 6 in MLS play. 2-1 stoppage time loss today against LAFC, a team that just seems to have our number. I said in last week's show, I hope we avoid them in the playoffs. Still might, but we're definitely going to be playing an LA team, that's for sure. We'll come to that soon. Just thoughts, overall thoughts on the game. Again, we'll start with Har on this. I mean, it was a game of two halves, the old cliche, but the Whitecaps, a very different team in the second to the first. Just heartbreaking way to drop a point, but ultimately a point wasn't necessarily going to help them that much anyway.
I'm going to say some bullshit, so be careful. I don't think they dominated the game. I think a 1-1 result would have been fair for both teams. I thought they were slow in the first half, and LAFC could have had maybe 2 or maybe even 3 goals. So I think a draw would have been fair. To say that they should have won the game, that's not taking into account their slow start. I think that maybe they should have gone ahead 2-1, but then you could say LAFC could have been up 2-0. So, yeah, that's bullshit on my part to say that they didn't dominate the game. They needed a win, and they haven't done that. They've got 1 win since September 1st. I thought they settled into the game, but no, they're not scoring goals. They've got 1 goal from a player on the team in the last 4 games. That was Brian White. I guess it counts as an own goal. So does that end their goalless streak at 329 minutes?
Yeah, I watched it back because it was given as Tristan Blackman in the stadium, and then I saw on the match report it was down as an own goal, and I think it did come off the defender. But the reason Har was making those comments, Zach, is Vanni in his very short post game chat, which was just over 4 minutes, and the first question was from friend of the show, an AFTN writer, Felipe Vallejo, who had just said, "Oh, the last 5-10 minutes, the game could have gone either way." And Vanni took big umbrage at that and said that no, it couldn't. He said, "When you say bullshit, you say bullshit. It couldn't go either way. We dominated them. So please say that. If not, I don't answer you." And fair play to Felipe. He didn't turn around and say, "Okay, you dominated them." He just moved on to the next question, because I agree with Har. I don't think they did dominate them. They were the better team in the second half, but they could easily have gone in at half time 2, 3, or 4 goals down.
Yeah, I find it strange that Vanni would say that for multiple reasons. I mean, based on the reality of the game. Now, obviously, I couldn't watch it live because of the VFC game. We were actually ARG turned to me and said, "Hey, the game started already, BC Place," and told me about the early goal as we were sitting there in the waiting for people to come in. But
I know poor Sam Rowan, he didn't even do the post game at VFC, and by the time he got downtown Hart and got to the stadium, it was like the 35th minute.
Oh yeah, that's harsh. But based on the parts I've been able to watch afterwards, I find that I don't find that based in reality. And 2, I think it's an awkward thing to say to, a fellow club employee in Felipe who wears multiple hats or whatever. But
he did apologize moments later, so that's really
that's good to hear. But no, like I think Felipe's bang on about those final minutes, right? You not only does LAFC score to win the game, but then right after that, the Whitecaps could have equalized with the shot off the post and the close opportunity that was not quite in the right spot for a rebound to find its way into the back of the net. But I think he was spot on in his analysis of how that ended.
I mean, when a game is tied and you're going into the closing minutes, it's in the balance. It can go either way. I think it's a fair thing. And they were the better team in the second half. There's no getting away from that. LAFC dropped out of it. Steve Cherundolo, Harmy went into the LA post game, and Steve Cherundolo said afterwards he felt they were really tired in the second half. They kind of lacked a little bit. He doesn't believe they deserved the victory either. He was honest enough to admit that. But it's like that's football. You get the breaks, you get the counter, and it's heartbreaking when it goes against your team. It's great when it goes in favour of your team.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Whitecaps did have chances to put the game to bed. And Sam was beside me when we were watching the game. Har was on the other side. And before we tied it up, I said to Sam, if we can get the equaliser with enough time on the clock, I really fancy the Whitecaps to go on and get the win.
Mm.
And they should have.
And they did. Well, yeah, they did lots of times.
Yeah, it's like they had those opportunities because LA had dropped out of it. And I think they were just going to sit back and they kind of did after that. And the Whitecaps just couldn't get the breakthrough. Now, Vanni was quite emotional post-game. And he said towards the end of it as well, I don't care if this is the last game I coach. I've just had enough of football, basically, kind of paraphrasing a little bit. But he's an emotional man. He wears his heart and emotions on the sleeve. And we saw him like after the game and he did not look happy. And he got a yellow card, which means he's suspended for the RSL game next week. It's 3 now, 2 in a row in back-to-back games. And we still don't really know what it was for. There was nothing in the incident of White hitting the post. So all I can think of is he swore or he kicked his water bottle, which is probably the more likely thing. And maybe it went on the pitch. Maybe it went towards the fourth official. So that is a valid yellow card.
Yeah, he has a history of cards against LAFC that
He does.
not good. You can't have your coach getting cards at the end or towards the end of these games, these last 2 games, as the playoffs are approaching. You need him on the touchline. You can't have him doing stuff like this. So it's disappointing. We'll see how Coach Mike does in Utah. They had a pretty good record at the beginning of the year with him in charge.
I know a few fans have pointed that out to me tonight. And this sounds horrible, but I feel confident going into RSL with Mike in the sidelines because it's not been going well.
They have a better record away from home too.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. Because it's like this was more points dropped at home. They've finished now their 17 regular home games at BC Place, 6 wins, which is 1 less than on the road, and there's still a game to go. 4 draws, the same as on the road, and 7 defeats, which is 2 more than they've lost on the road.
It's too many.
51 points on the table. They've taken 22 of them at BC Place. 43%. Which, I mean, that's a disgrace. And as Greg Petrie pointed out on Twitter to me, you know how they sold the big 4-game golden pack?
They lost all the games.
No, they drew 2 and lost 2, but they had no wins.
Oh, they didn't win any games.
But it wasn't also a problem that the bigger problem probably, although tonight you could say different. They didn't perform super well in a lot of those big matches.
Yeah. I mean, I think folk will have left the game this afternoon.
Yeah.
And felt, the Whitecaps really battled and they gave it their all in that second half. And I don't think some of those other games, the Miami game, for example, they're going to have come away from that thinking the same thing. So there is that, but it's another case, there's a big crowd. You're in the middle of a season ticket renewal drive. You're needing these people to come back next year, and the team's just not performing.
Yeah, they were missing 6 internationals as well. Stuart Armstrong not healthy, so it's not an ideal scenario against, I would say, a rival in LAFC. They maybe should have had a goal there at the end, or could have been 2-2. But yeah, you don't want to be putting these kind of results in when you got 30,000 fans, because they see that and say, then why should I come back next year? Why should I spend money on this for my family? Or there's other stuff they can be doing. And credit to the fans for turning up, because this was a rescheduled match from August on a Thanksgiving long weekend. And it's a nice sunny day in Vancouver. So props to the fans for turning out and showing support and really getting behind the team.
But they seem to have sold some tickets beyond the match pack, Greg, because they opened
Well,
up
this is
the-
also
doors
there was
open.
because of the Miami thing, the fans got
okay.
an extra ticket,
yeah,
and a lot of them picked it for the LA game in August,
yeah,
which
right.
was now this one.
Because I mean, LAFC tends to be a great team to watch, right? Like,
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, if you're going to pick a game to go to, you'd like for me, it'd be LAFC because you've got like Giroud, Lloris, Vela, who wasn't there today, Buanga, who was away as well today, or Seattle or Portland. You'd go for one of those games if you get given a free ticket. You're not going to be like, oh,
Or St. Louis.
Chicago midweek. Let's go for that one.
Harv, as soon as we ended the show last week, I said to Michael, I said, we forgot to talk about Har's big moment in the week. Your boy scored a goal. I thought
Simon Betcher had a brace.
Oh, the other guy's dead to you. I forgot.
Oh, yes, I forgot you and Jake had a little falling out. Oh, does that mean you didn't vote for him in your top 10 all-time MLS Whitecaps?
Oh, I haven't voted yet. When is that due?
Tomorrow.
I better do that.
Yeah, because I was like, there'll be one vote for Jake Nerwinski, and they'll all be like, oh, well, I know who put that vote in.
Maybe.
I voted for Barry Robson.
Oh,
Did you really?
Still flapping his arms.
I just did all the Scottish guys.
What's the criteria? Who gives good hugs? I don't know.
Kei Kamara would be up there.
Congratulations.
We got different hugs though. One was a bit moisturized, and the other one was better.
Yes, Kai hugged us twice, right when he came off the pitch, and I was like dripping after that.
Yeah.
I was like, because he hugged her, and I was like, yeah, I don't need a hug. And then he comes up to me, he's like, oh, and it's like, oh no.
We like hugs, just not sweaty hugs.
Yeah, and then he gave us a hug at the end as well. You like your hugs with players, Zach.
I got one from Thomas Hasal too.
Congratulations on the update and the guidelines, and media can now receive hugs. I'm happy for you guys.
Hugs and autographs from French.
Are we allowed to get hugged? I don't know. What am I supposed to say? Sorry, you can't hug me? Or get in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, when Giroud came over, you shouldn't have like unzipped and go, sign my chest, please.
I didn't do that.
Oh no, that was me.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the game. Let's look at the 3 goals. So the first one, I just watched them back just before we started recording as well,
man.
just because the first one I missed live. I was sitting there eating my turkey.
Yeah, it was a good turkey.
I took my glasses off because I can't read with my glasses on, and I was reading the lineups. I looked up just as the ball went in the net, and I was like, what the fuck has just happened?
This is a pretty nice play, though.
It was, except for when you watch it. But the first time you watch it, you're just like, oh. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh. But it really does. It ages very poorly on the replay.
Yeah, Martinez's diagonal through ball though.
It's brilliant.
Like if that was for us, that would be down as one of my passes of the season.
Mhm.
That was tremendous. I would say defense splitting, but there was just one guy back there. And yeah, Bjorn.
It's still split.
It split him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bjorn's had a good season. I
Yes.
do like what he's brought to the team. Canadian Championship hero. This was not one of his better games.
Is it just a lack of momentary pace, or is it just being caught out by the quality of the pass?
I think a bit of both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Bogusz is such a good player. I don't know how he wasn't called up by Poland for this window. I wish he had been. And he was signing autographs with the kids at the end, and we were speaking to
Kai.
And I was wanting to ask him about the rumours that he was going to Celtic just to see like where they were, but he disappeared very, very quickly. But yeah, it was a great through ball, but the finish was also sublime. It was a tight angle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference between these teams today, Har. LAFC didn't have a lot of clear-cut chances. I mean, the shots on target were 4 apiece. LAFC, 2 clinical times in front of goal, but that finish from Bogusz I mean, you could say Takaoka maybe shouldn't have got chipped, but it was a sublime angle to finish from.
Yeah, they took their chances and they had that quick goal. You know, I was still trying to figure out how to eat my turkey with a broken fork, and they're scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean, wooden forks, we could do a whole section on our annoyance of wooden forks. And
Yeah.
paper straws. Paper why? Oh, and they had new coffee cups today.
Uh-oh.
It
Oh,
They
was
had
yeah.
them
like
last week too.
it was like origami. You had to fold down the four sides. So I folded all the things down, and then Gemma from Canadian Press came up and went, "You're actually meant to put the coffee in the cup first before you fold those down." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I just used the other cup, the ones that
Yeah,
I used.
I did in the end as well.
I've heard something, not to go on a crazy tangent, but I heard something this week, and I have not researched it to see the validity of it. But something about how the adhesive used in the paper straws is maybe not super healthy.
That's
Oh,
why I don't use them. I have plastic straws. I use those.
I don't use the paper straws, not because I like, oh, I need a plastic straw, but I just don't use paper straws because I think they taste disgusting.
yeah.
They
I mean,
taste like paper.
I like a good suck as much as the next man.
It's
But
true.
what I did was we bought some metal straws.
Yeah.
We've got a couple
Yes,
we keep
I
up. Couple
I
we
need to
keep.
buy I need to buy some.
Yeah. They're not very bendy. That's the only problem. Also, when you go down to the States, like when we were down in Oregon, plastic forks, plastic cutlery, plastic straws. Oh,
Yeah.
it was heaven.
America.
So sorry for the fishes and stuff, but
So yeah, the early goal really set the tone.
yeah, it really did set the tone. And then, I mean, the Caps had a chance to equalise right away. Berhalter had a shot, it was a curling shot. Then Takaoka came up with a couple of big saves. He saved off Giroud.
They
Nice
had
spinning
that goal where
shot.
they scored, but there was a foul and didn't count.
Yes. Now, the they dodged a bullet with that one because I think at 2-0, that was like game over. I think we could just have gone home at that point. I was still eating my turkey. That's how much I had on my plate. And that is not exaggerating. I was eating
It
my
was
turkey
good.
until past
The
the half
gravy
hour
was good.
mark.
Yeah.
It looked like too much to go back for seconds.
Well, the woman said to me, "How hungry are you?"
Yeah.
"I'm pretty hungry." And then she handed me this plate that was bending.
She gives good portions. She's my favorite.
Yeah. And like, I'm a man that likes good portions. But yeah, that was a chance to have made it two. There was Whitecaps had a chance. There was a free kick headed on by Tristan to the back post, and then Laborda blasted it over. Then the Whitecaps had another chance. There was a long ball forward that just got ahead of White. And that was part of the problem. Because
Oh
this was
yeah,
a
that was
lot,
a good play.
yeah, there's a lot of the fringe guys. And I think there was a telling moment in front of goal. White had the ball in front of goal in the D, played the ball to his right, where Gold would have been. Gold would have
Yeah.
made that run. He'd have got onto that shot, but there was a Gold hole just there, and nothing came of that one. But then there was a great chance in the 34th minute. There was a brilliant tackle in the box by
Yeah.
LA. And then that sprung them going up the other end. Let me see, who was it that made that tackle? That was Lewis O'Brien. And then they went up the other end, and Martinez just curled one past the post. And yeah, Taka had a couple of saves as well. So, I mean, LAFC were definitely the better team in the first half. They should have gone in a couple up. The second half, as demonstrated by the highlights, which I watched when I got home, because the second half highlights start in the 63rd minute with the equaliser. Great delivery by Sebastian Berhalter, who I've got to say, Har, I thought was excellent all afternoon. Him
Yeah.
and Ralph Priso, who I've criticised on this podcast, but he's getting better and better. But the two of them in the middle of the park were excellent, I thought, this afternoon.
Yeah, Berhalter was phenomenal. He was taking a lot of big leaps this year. He's getting a lot more minutes. You know, when Kubas is away, they have no hesitation about putting Sebastian in there. And then when Gald's been away in these last two internationals, he does the free kicks, he does the corners, so he's quite instrumental. And then he whipped that ball in, and then Tristan was battling with the defender, and yeah, it was good deflection and went in.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like Berhalter, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Michael, that he has just really found his rhythm, found his form, and whatever Vanni's asked of him, he does it, and he does it kind of pretty to exceptionally well.
He was quite emotional afterwards as well. I think all the players knew the importance of this game. They knew what was on the line. They knew they had their chances, and I think they were gutted that they let it slip through their fingers. I want to talk about some of the substitutions because I know it was a weakened bench, but there was only 3 substitutions made, and Levante Johnson somehow stayed on the pitch to the 82nd minute. And it's not to rag on Levante. It looked like he'd run himself out. He had the brilliant delivery that had come in the 74th minute that White headed just inches past the far post. So he wasn't causing a lot of issues, and I think it needed some fresh legs out there. So I was surprised that him and Raposo didn't get taken off before the 82nd minute. But there's only the 3 subs, Caicedo, Bovalina and Krylak. Now, Ocampo's shown well when he's come in. Nico Florio Chateau, obviously we're big fans of him on the show, but I felt he deserved a run, hustling, bustling, just to come on, just to add something to try and get some difference maker. So, I mean, that was a bit surprising to me, Har, that there wasn't the full quota of subs made.
Yeah, that was curious too with the substitutions. I would have liked to have seen Ocampo out there at NFC. I wasn't at training this week, so I don't know how the guys have trained or how they've looked or if they have some kind of knock or anything. I think it was last week. I know fans were asking, I think, about Caicedo. And then Vanni, it was, he's not one of the top 20 guys are available. So that's why he wasn't on the team sheet. So maybe it comes down to who's training well, who's doing well in training. And yeah, I was really happy to see Giuseppe Bovalina get a run out there, get an opportunity, because I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he just
in
disappeared.
the time he's had, and I would like to see him play more. I know Vanni said when I asked him that he would get a run with the Whitecaps FC2 team in the playoffs, so hopefully he does well there and gets more time, and we'll see next year. But he's still a young guy, only 19, but you paid a fee to get him here from Australia. I would like to see more from him, and I think the fans would as well.
Yeah, he just disappeared out of the team and out of the mix. Caicedo, when he came on today, though, Zach, he had that spark that it brought fans to their feet. There was a moment in the 72nd minute, fancy footwork in the box, and then his shot took a deflection that just missed the far post again. He's got that skill, he's got that flash. He's clearly maybe not fit or up to date with the systems or whatever. I'd like to have seen him on maybe at halftime just to add something, because there was nothing at that point in the game. But there was that chance that was close. There was the White header in the 74th minute that went just wide. White headed over in the 83rd minute from a shop cross. Demir had a header off a corner in the 86th minute that was blocked on the line by Timothy Tillman. 89th minute, White had a header that was saved by Lloris. And then everything went wrong in stoppage time, Zach.
Yeah.
There was a Whitecaps break, and the man we've just been talking about, Giuseppe Bovalina, tearing forward. He's on his own. There was no support, so he had to do everything himself. He tried to win the free kick. It wasn't a free kick. He kind of just
I saw that.
himself down. There's a few incidents like that in the VFC game we can maybe talk about in part 3, but he couldn't do anything else. He had like 3 or 4 players around him, and there was no Whitecap. Like, they were so slow to break there. It was so frustrating to see. What was even more frustrating was LA went up the other end, and I mean, absolutely fantastic play by Nathan Ordaz. Skips through the 2 Whitecaps players. The commentators are like, "Oh, it's 1 against 5." Yeah, well, that one managed to get through 2 defenders, play it inside to Kei Kamara. He touches it inside to Eli Sanchez. And we'll hear from Kei Kamara in part 2. And Kai's like, yeah, Eli doing what we seem to do too much. He should have made the pass. He went for the shot. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And then he scored, so it was okay.
Yeah, it was a really great play from LAFC. I was going to ask you with the foul because, or sorry, the potential foul down the wing is my son was showing me in the game where the goal was, and then of course in the highlights it just starts with Bovalina. I think they're just lying on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't fully see the breakaway, and it's
No,
like, oh, it
but
was it was genuinely frustrating because it's like, where is the support?
the wing play though is brilliant, but I I wonder if that's one of the reasons why Vanni wants to not coach anymore because those three players you just can't allow that to happen. Like you
No,
can't get beaten by that, and especially when you're trying to close out a game or you're trying to regain possession to create an attack because you need another goal because you want to / need to move up the table. That was just really really poor, but yeah, a great play. And then yeah, our good friend, big hugger, sweaty hugger, Kei Kamara with just a simple pass across the top of the box, and Sanchez decides he's gonna play match winner and totally does. I told
and
Kirk
off the
earlier
post, the right move was to pass to the overlapping runner.
when I finally got in the car, we had to drop some people off and I had to get gas on the way home and stuff. And we were following on my phone. And so I told Kirk, I was like, "Oh, Ili Sanchez is coming to the game. He's a big player. This performed well
He
for
was so
LAFC.
good with KC.
Didn't he? And
Yeah.
he scored that winning penalty, didn't he? In the shootout for LAFC, didn't he? I
Ooh,
swear it was him.
not sure.
And then he did a commercial after. Anyways,
Oh,
um,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah.
so I was like, oh, he's a key player. And then yeah, he kind of um he proved it in the game by taking I mean, it's a quality strike at just the right moment.
I, there's nothing Taka could have done. It was in off the post, but it was frustrating her that
We
when
could have marked him. That would have helped.
well, yeah, that would also have helped as well. But when Bova was breaking, to not have anyone coming quick enough, and I don't know whether they were just gassed with all the games that's come up, but they have had a week break, so that excuse doesn't factor into it.
Yeah, they had 3 days off this week.
Yeah. So then you had the heartbreak right after that, where the point was nearly gained. Brian meets the cross superbly off the left post. And I totally get Vanni's frustration afterwards because it is the kind of game that you would say, oh, I don't want to coach football anymore. This is just too frustrating. Because they should have won. I do agree with them that they should have won. I don't think they dominated, but they should have won with the chances they had in the second half. But when your luck's not in, and Brian's luck just definitely wasn't in today, I mean, he did everything right with those headers, and it's just denied, past the post, off the post, saved. Tough, tough, tough. I want to talk about Stuart Armstrong as well, who is now day to day with a calf injury. Now, there was an interesting thing with this Har in a couple of games ago. Vanni said when he didn't start against Seattle, we want him to start against LAFC and he'll maybe get some minutes against Minnesota. Instead, he started against Minnesota and then isn't able to go against LAFC.
Yeah, that's definitely curious. I thought he was going to be out for the whole week last week. I didn't think he was going to play on that Saturday. And then I went to training on Friday and he's in the starting lineup. And I'm like, well, I guess he's fit enough to start now all of a sudden. And I think he played close to 60th minute. I think him and Ali Ahmed came off. But then now he can't even be on the bench. Like he's got the calf strain or his calf's day to day. Well, if he can't play midweek in that Wednesday game you mentioned, why is he starting on Saturday? Because now he's clearly not fit enough to be on the bench. You don't know if he's going to play in Utah or maybe in the playoffs. Why not just sit him out and get him healthier sooner? Because if you're putting him out there, you're saying, we need a result. We need this guy to go. Well, you haven't gotten the win, and now the guy's got a calf strain. So I don't understand what's happening with that decision making, and I don't think it's helped the team or Stuart Armstrong.
No. Well, also as well, like you're going to RSL now. I don't know what the heat and temperature will be like, but it's altitude. And former East Fife legend Kenny Dooker had a time at RSL. And when we interviewed him on our East Fife podcast, he said, oh man, when you first go and you play in that, you're just so not used to it. So that's now going to be Stuart Armstrong's first experience if he can go. And that's not good for anyone. As you say, Harry, it's not good for him. It's not good for the team because we're going to have these guys back, hopefully unscathed. Ryan Gauld only got a less than 10-minute run out for Scotland on, let's see, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday morning. All the things are blurring into one. So they play again on Tuesday. So it's a bit of a later return for Ryan as well, playing Portugal and Ronaldo. So we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, not great for Stuart.
Yeah, I'm gonna inquire and ask and see what's happening with that this week. We'll see what Vanni and Stuart have to say and what's happening there.
To be honest, I wouldn't play him against Arcel and try and keep him
for the playoff
playing game. Yeah, play in, maybe hopefully just play off.
He could aggravate whatever he's working through.
Has there been any update on that whole possibility of the home match?
There's still
in the playoffs.
Discussions are still being had. I was surprised no one really picked up on it. We did bury it in the show last week, as I like to do, but no, discussions are still being had. The Tuesday is a possibility.
I was quietly inquiring. It took multiple emails to get an answer back, which was not an answer worth using. So, yeah.
But the play-in games can be the Tuesday or the Wednesday. And my understanding is it's because the motocross can take like days, even up to a week. Set it
up with the dirt and everything.
Yeah. I mean, on the plus side, some of those mounds of dirt might be better at holding off some attacking players and some of the Whitecaps defenders we've seen in the last few
weeks. How
does
that work with the pitch, though? Like, how's that going to be?
You hope they're going to put something over. Oh, I hope they're going to put something over it. Oh, man.
Maybe the boards?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to have motorbikes on it, so it's got to be something over it. And the reason that the Whitecaps game was on Thanksgiving Sunday was they couldn't play on the Saturday with the switch because it was women's rugby.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have told Mark DeSantis that, Zach, after the chat we had with him in Pacific that time.
That would be quite a turnaround if they have to play Saturday away and then again on Tuesday.
Yeah, that will be. Michael, I'm guessing they do put down those plastic stuff before
they would have to.
Those what do they call them? They're like not crates, but they're like segmented.
Yeah, we've seen them with the Wrexham game.
Yeah.
So the defeat today, the lie of the land, the Whitecaps cannot finish higher than 7th.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, they have to win in USL and really hope that
you mean RSL.
Yeah, you said USL.
Sorry. I'm just thinking ahead to Pro Rel in the years to come.
No.
Yeah, RSL. So they have to go and win an RSL and hope Minnesota get beat. Now, even if the Whitecaps win by 2, it looks like Minnesota would be fine with a point. They could still finish 7th, 8th, or 9th. I'll be honest, 8th or 9th is I think, what we are looking at here. So no matter what, we know that it's either going to be a play-in game and then they're going to take on an LA team, or if they happen to get 7th, they take on an LA team.
Yeah,
that is like the worst case scenario. So they're either playing LAFC or LA Galaxy in a best of 3 series.
They're not playing at all.
Or they're not playing at all, yeah. And it's like LAFC clinched 2nd today with that victory.
Yep.
And if they win next week and the Galaxy lose in Houston, LAFC have the tiebreaker, so they would win the West. So then if we're in the play-in game, it's against LAFC.
Good old rivalry.
But yeah, I mean, Zach, the worst nightmare is you get through the play-in game or you finish 7th, but you've still got an LA team.
Yeah, it's not easy.
A rested LA team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what I would say to you though, Har, though, is did the performance today, 2 under strength teams, did it make you feel we could at least test LAFC? Or can you not take anything from that?
No, they lost the game.
They tested them.
They still lost. Go win the game.
Har's not wrong.
Doesn't matter if you get all these chances, you don't win the game. Come on, it's bullshit.
Har's not wrong, but also have we checked the availability of Tim Ford for that series? Do we know what's going
We
on?
haven't had him all year, so I think
I think it's with Caleb Porter.
yeah. I Here's some texts or tweets that I got tonight. I won't read them all because I tweeted out the fact that no matter what, we're playing an LA team, and oh boy, there was lots of reactions. Scott Bear says Whitecaps season, win the Canadian Championship, get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and owners are happy. No coach, no system, no heart. Could write the script before the season started. Sjord Ori says we had a strong lineup against Minnesota and Seattle, but didn't show up. Not being sharp from the very start did us in today. The goal shell-shocked the team. I think it did take them a while to recover from that. The second half was good. Today's game was never going to be easy. We deserved a point. Gold may be our best player, but watched him struggle with the pace in the Scotland games. He did a little. This Caps is an average MLS team that sometimes has a very good day or the opponent is weaker that game. We can lose any given day. We can sometimes win and even hit a nice streak, but this team won't play for a top 4 spot. Vancouver Whitecaps with a strong lineup against Minnesota and looked worse than today. That is very true. It was a better lineup against Minnesota last week and they were a lot worse than today. Greg Petrie, 0-2-2 in the 4-game match pack this season, 6-7-4 home record, a collapse at the end of the season while facing their biggest rivals in big games. Hard questions need to be asked about Vanni. Not everything can be blamed on the schedule or officials.
Not too hard, though.
No. Carlos A. Vanni is always emotional, but can't always blame the refs every time. They have to question ownership's commitment to win an MLS championship in the next 2 or 3 years. And if they can't sell the team, LAFC, Galaxy and Sounders gearing up for more quality transfers in the off-season. I'll just read one more.
I got one too.
Rick Halland, which I like this one. Those anger management classes haven't paid off. Vanni seems like a genuinely nice guy, but when he snaps on the sideline...
That's the winner. I got one from Mark Goodman regarding Vanni's suspension. At least he'll be rested for the playoffs.
Hey, that's a good one. Talking of Vanni, just to round this part off. Is his coat on a sugary peg? Now, he got a 2-year deal last year, so he's still got a year to go. If they don't, like the target this year, it's been said constantly, Canadian Championship, tick. Top 4 finish, cross. Advancing through the first round of the playoffs, TBC. If they're in the play-in game and lose, or if they don't get through the first round, it's a regression or the same, except they didn't win the Cascadia Cup either, but slightly different. I mean, do you think he is in trouble?
It's hard to say. To that, I say, who are you going to get that is a better coach? And then are you going to have to then turn over your style, your playing system, and then your roster? Because it's not just getting a new coach. Then you have to change other things as well. And so I think they'll take a long process and figure that out. I don't think he's on as hot of a hot seat as people think he is.
Zach, that's very valid.
Yeah, I think there are lots of factors that go into this. It is his performance. I don't think the criticisms are invalid. However, this is also the Whitecaps coach in MLS era with the best record, the most trophies, probably you would say the most progress of a team. Now, how he plays football and his ideas, I think, still has not fully resonated with, I think, the fans and the community in general. I mean, obviously winning does, right, Michael? That cures all ails. That always ails you. But it is interesting even just what you guys described both on the show and before we started recording about how the post-match went that you guys weren't even at because you were at the LAFC, right, or whatever, just the things you heard and stuff are that's really concerning. Like I know Vanni is a person of great emotion, which can be a detriment, aka for example, not aka, for example, the Tim Ford incident, but the things that you kind of were talking about are like really concerning to me, and even just some of the way that you've described how he carried himself, whatever, that's really, it might just be an in the moment thing for him, but it's concerning. And plus, and just things like the yellow card, the card accumulation, and other suspension, I don't think any of those things help. So I think there's reasons for the Whitecaps to keep him and to keep trying to move things forward in his way. But I also think it wouldn't be shocking if they said, hey, if Axel Schuster said, hey, I want to go in a different direction, because going back to how Vanni started in the role, I think it would be fair to say he was never Axel's, primary choice.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Axel at some point would like to maybe try some things that are more his style or his way, with people that are a little bit maybe not the same as him, but maybe have a little bit more of a similar approach as he does, and a similar, maybe temperament's the wrong word, but similar kind of approach to how you deal with that role.
Well, we know Jurgen Klopp's new Red Bull contract has a clause that he can leave to be the German manager. Maybe he's got in that if the Whitecaps come calling, he'll leave for that as well.
You don't know how
there's the Axel connection.
You don't know how many people have said to me, Jurgen Klopp is now dead to me.
I've been hearing some podcasts talk about that. Man. We'll maybe get into that in part 3. We won't bore.
Shocking. I woke up, actually, just aside, I woke up to a message from Flo saying, essentially, one of the few people I respect in football is now dead to me. And I was like, what? What's going on here? And then he had a link.
Well, I've heard Dortmund fans say they'd rather he joined Bayern.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
People here don't understand how much Germans hate Red Bull, and to a lesser degree Hoffenheim, although Hoffenheim might be going through some changes that might make them a little less hated, but that's another story for another time.
We'll wrap this part up, but just quickly on that, bizarrely in my East Fife WhatsApp group, somebody connected with the club posted, how would fans feel if East Fife were bought over by like a Red Bull style club? And I'm like, why is this suddenly getting thrown out to us?
Yeah. Well, dude, that's the thing. They've penetrated the English market now, right?
Yeah.
Or the English community with their partial ownership of Leeds. And I thought I heard one other kind of move in that direction.
Because we're getting promoted this year. It's not guaranteed, but the way it's going, we should be getting promoted. So we're on the way up. And it's like, why is this suddenly being thrown at us? That's just very bizarre.
I don't know.
Yeah, Hard doesn't care either. Anyway, more Whitecaps chat and some post-game audio that we're going to bring you from a couple of interviews that Har and myself did.
My researcher sort of just says that Dead Bull is investing in Paris FC in French football.
Oh, excellent. Oui, oui.
Thank you, researcher.
Merci.
Well, one of the post-game interviews isn't sadly with Olivier Giroud.
No, it wasn't.
No, we were meant to be getting him. He came out and said none, as we talked about. But we do have a couple of interviews. We're going to bring you our chat we had with Thomas Hasal and Kei Kamara.
Yeah, Kei Kamara had some things to say about some things.
He did. You don't want to miss that. And we'll be back with all of that after this episode's song from our album of the month.
Hi, I'm Tristan Blackman, and this is the AFTN Soccer Show.
When the world looks like a Christmas cake, I had to put my foot in it. Shadow boxing with the snowflakes and shouting from the summit. I was only born a bastard once. It didn't stop me getting blasted once. And now that I'm the king of wrecking everything, I don't wanna go home. show my fists. Fighting talks only pit bullshit. Now she can hang her stockings up. It doesn't take much to trip me up. I was only born a bastard once. It never stopped me getting plastered once. And now that I'm the king, I reckon everything. I know you wanna go, but I wanna be alone. Kissing in the snow.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's this episode's song from our album of the month, 1994's Bent by English band Kinky Machine. That was track 7, Pissing in the Snow. Never eat the yellow snow, Har.
It doesn't snow enough here, anyways.
I'll never forget, Michael. One year on my birthday, I got a message from Dwayne Rollins that said, "Don't eat yellow snow" in German, and then he said, "I think that means happy birthday."
Well, I don't know about pissing in the snow, but it kind of feels that the Whitecaps might be pissing in the wind when it comes to their playoff chances. You can't say that about LAFC. Clinched second, as we mentioned. They've already got a US Open Cup to their name, and it's going to be some battle in the playoffs, I think, between the two LA teams. A very happy locker room, Har.
Yes.
Kei Kamara was all smiles and hugs and dancing, and
He was on the phone, everything.
yeah, he was back out in the pitch. I've got to say as well, there was a lot of fans getting stuff signed by Lloris and by Giroud, and jerseys were just getting thrown down on the pitch all over the place and getting signed and thrown back up. So, like, full credit to those guys for taking the time. Also, Mark DeSantis, he gathered a bunch of signs that people had and then took it into the locker room, Zach, to get the players to sign it, and then took it back out to give to the fans.
Mark, say whatever you want about his coaching or whatever. Mark's just a quality human being and a quality dude. Like, that's not surprising or shocking to me at all.
Yeah, it was really nice. And we mentioned in the last part, we got a chance to sit down. Literally, Kai was
You were
sitting.
sick.
Well, I got up for this one, but Kai was sitting. We spoke to Kei Kamara after the match. This year, he moved to second in the MLS all-time scoring. 147 goals from his 443 appearances. LAFC's his 11th club. And for those that don't know, he came through college at Cal State Dominguez Hill, so kind of based out of Carson. He played some PDL with Orange County as well. So LA's always been his home. It holds a kind of special place to him. So his career's kind of come full circle, coming back to LAFC. And he's certainly enjoying his time there. So go stick the kettle on and grab a biscuit and listen to Har and me chatting with Kei Kamara.
2 biscuits.
Like a fine wine, you're just getting assists out there, you're running, having fun. How is it being with LAFC?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be in LA, for me to drop back to LA and be home, playing in front of family and friends. But to play for this club is something special. It's a club, young, rich history already in American soccer or just MLS. And to be part of that history, I'm really enjoying it.
What is it about the team that makes it click, get the results? You're missing guys, and you guys keep churning out results.
We know what we have to do. We have an idea of play throughout the club, and everybody buys into that idea. And when you have something like that and the consistency of, those kind of things, it passes on. So it's not just about the guys that starts and play all the time, but even for us that, always whenever we step on the field, we know what our roles are and we know what we have to do.
you take us through the goal in the 92nd minute, you could just hear the energy drain out of this stadium in the 92nd minute.
I didn't even know what time it was in the game, but I mean, it was good. It was good ball, obviously out wide. We didn't expect to get that much from it, but Nathan, Odaris did really good. And I saw that he had a few guys around him, so I tried to slide across, as I always would do as a big man, slide across so I can make sure I'm helping him. But when I took the touch, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go forward, so I just had to keep it a little bit. And then seeing Ilie Sanchez on the far side, I laid it off to him. And again, our game style of play, Ilie should have made one more pass, but he decided to take the shot. So we're all like, don't, yes, goal. So it's wonderful.
You touched about being back in LA. Obviously, you started your career at Cal State. You played PDL there. What's it been like? I'm not saying that you're at the end of your career. I think you've still got a few seasons left. But to be back in LA now, coming full circle, what has that meant to you?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to feel wanted at some place, and that's really what this sport's all about. I've gone through so many years of playing, and to find a place that, again, shows that they want me to be there and they know what it means to me to be in LA, to be there. And again, I'm representing the city that I really love so much, so it doesn't matter how much I get on the field. So I'm doing everything I can do to help the club on and off the field, so it's great.
To move into second as well in the all-time scorers in MLS, 24 more and you're first. Have you got that in you? 24
more. I definitely have 24 more minutes in me. No, I'm joking. No, yes, definitely. I mean, I want to. I feel good. I feel great. I'm playing. I'm training every day, not missing a day of training. And again, it's about the environment. It's where you're at. Where I'm at, I love it. I wake up every day with excitement to go into training and, look forward to the games on the weekend. We have an amazing fan base, and those things fuel you. Yes, I could have been at other clubs where maybe I could have scored 10 plus goals this year, but it's not in a place where, we can compete for a championship. So again, I want to get that record, but if I can lift the trophy before the record, that would be better.
Last thing from me, how do you look back at your time here in Vancouver? I mean, from our point of view, you were fantastic on the pitch. I know it maybe ended a little bit sour off the pitch, but how do you look back at it?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed after I was gone. Actually, I'm gonna say that now. The fact that hearing rumors of what the so-called persona was about me here, I'm very disappointed about that, because again, there was a vision and a plan which worked out really well. They said, hey, Kai, we think you're really good with younger people. We have Alphonso Davis. Can you come here? Can you kind of be a bigger brother to him? And I felt like I did what I had to do on and off the field. I'm not saying he is my project and anything, but I know I had an impact with him. I love this place. Even today, I went to Kitsilano, I went to the beach. I just went around, just walk around memory lane again, because I loved it here so much. But to hear those mumbles for what I gave so much of my heart and my family and my kids. My kid, my 1-year-old boy burned his hand, scarred over here, that he scarred for life. He's burned his hands never came back to normal. So this city, we love this city so much. So that really hurts me deeply to hear those things, to be treated that way. So it hurts.
And they lowballed you in the offer.
Say what?
They lowballed you in the offer.
There wasn't an offer. There wasn't an offer. There was not an offer. I was in Africa, and they told me that I was getting traded, to Colorado, and I didn't really have an option. I didn't really have anything to say about anything. I was so looking forward to the next year, coming back here and continuing, because I wanted to be here. Like I say again, the city is beautiful, the people were amazing, but hey, that's a long time ago. This is my second time to ever be back since 2018, and I always looked forward to coming back to Vancouver. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kai. Kei Kamara there. Some very interesting comments, Har, at the end on that last question. Not happy with the kind of cloud that he left Vancouver under. Felt he was misportrayed as to what he was like in the locker room, and things were put out there that just simply were not true about him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I had heard some of this from Kai, actually, when he was with another team and they came through Vancouver. He told me, Har, you were right. I want to thank you. They didn't make me an offer. I said, yeah, they're going to say that you can't do what you did in the previous season. And yeah, that's what happened, is what he told me when he was here previously. And we talked to him, as you guys just heard, and he's still salty about how it ended here in Vancouver. He really enjoyed his time in Vancouver. He was
loves
at
the
the beach.
city.
Yeah, so for him to have it end like that is disappointing. I think it could be handled a lot better, and especially a guy of his caliber and what he's done to the league and what he's meant. So maybe it's just business, but sometimes it has a personal impact. He has 3 young kids, and I remember them being here, and they're just so cute running around. So there's a person and there's a family having to move around too, and so yeah, just disappointing. And to see him still talk about it with the passion, like he was quite telling us what happened there.
I'm a little disappointed in the two of you that you didn't do the whole complete, let's get both sides of the story and just pull Mark over into the conversation. You could have had a better perspective on
Mark
the
and him were back to back when this
Yeah.
was taking place.
There's 50 million kids there.
I think that
remember Mark hadn't taken over by that point.
Yeah.
No, but I remember having conversations with both of them about all of this, and I don't think I
don't think it was MDS. I think it was someone else.
Yeah.
No, but I think MDS had conversations with him, maybe not offering money or a contract or whatever, but ultimately Kei did what was right for him. But I agree with him, because I don't remember everything. I don't know if it was as heinous as, let's say, the Tim Parker situation, which was pretty much people from the Whitecaps organization making sure it got out there that certain things got out there about him to make sure he was characterized a certain way amongst the fan base. I don't know if it was as sinister as that situation felt, but I think it was kind of along the same lines.
Yeah, I mean, he loved his time here, and he was speaking. He went for a walk and was enjoying everything here. For those that don't remember, in his career, he's averaged a goal every 3 games, which for the long career he's had is incredible. He played 1 season here, 2018, 28
15?
games played, 14 goals.
14
Yeah, he
goals.
led the team, right?
Yeah.
14.
But wasn't that more in all competitions? That's 14 in MLS.
It's like what is 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's like, who does not want a forward that's got that strike rate?
And how old was he then too? Wasn't he like 35 or something?
Oh, well, let's see, he's 38 now, so
A few teams ago.
about 6 years ago, so about 32.
Yeah, 33. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I was
great.
asking him how long he can go on. I don't know. He not sure he's going to chase down those 24 goals that he's behind.
I mean, he set up the match winner tonight. He can still hold off the defender and distribute the ball.
We had a couple of chances as well, because every time he got on the ball, we're like, oh, here we go.
Well, and he keeps himself in incredible shape as well.
Yeah.
Like he's very, very good at being a professional footballer, and recognizes that everything he puts into his body and how he treats it and how he maintains it is a part of the job, right? So
I've always liked him. I don't doubt that there's been issues in some locker rooms, because there's been a lot of stories about him, but he's very adamant that the stuff that was said about him here was not
Vancouver,
true.
yeah.
He said he was brought in to mentor the young guys, and he did that.
Yeah, like Fonzie.
He helped mentor Fonzie, yeah.
Well, he talked about mentoring Fonzie, and it's like, I'd still have welcomed him back at any point in the last couple of years. Possibly still would. Like, if you're bringing in Damir Kreilach this year, if Kei wants to go another year and Damir's not, bring Kei in. But I think that ship sailed. As much as he loves the city, I don't think
he wants to,
No. I mean, there's been a few Whitecaps connections, obviously, at LAFC over the years. Mark DeSantis, Max Crepeau, and another Whitecaps goalkeeper is there just now on the bench today, young Thomas Hasal. And what a journey for him. Broke into the Whitecaps as their starting keeper when Max left, got that injury, and then you're like, where's he going to land? And I think most of us thought he'd probably end up in the CPL. Instead, he's now at LAFC being mentored by a goalkeeping legend in Hugo Lloris, keeping shots out at practice from Olivier Giroud and like Carlos Vela,
and living in LA.
West Hollywood.
Yeah, he's living in West Hollywood. We were trying to find out about parties and stuff. We didn't get an invite, but it's near the beaches. He's having a great time there. Harney caught up with him after the match today. Here's what he had to tell us. So, Thomas, how is life down in LA?
Yeah, it's good. It's been a great experience, a new club, a different environment, a different setting. It's been great, honestly. The club's really taken care of me, so things have been good.
How did the move come about? Obviously, after the injury here, you were rehabbing here for a little bit. So how did this all play out from your side?
Yeah, so after I had the injury here, I kind of went into essentially my rehab, just rehabbing through, and I wanted to get at least fit until I signed a contract somewhere else. So throughout the period when I was out, there were conversations with different clubs, and it was just like, okay, LAFC was obviously one of them where they said they would kind of wait for me to get back fit, and they did. So I was happy to take this opportunity on.
You're learning from a guy that's a legend in the game. You watched him when you were growing up. What's it like actually training with him, learning from him? What have you learned from him?
Yeah, I think that was a major draw in going there. It's learning from seriously one of the legends of the game, like somebody you watched growing up, week in, week out in the Premier League. You watch him in the World Cup, so it was something I took on my plate and said, hey, this is a great opportunity to learn from one of the best goalkeepers of my generation. So you learn a lot, and it extends both on the pitch, different technical things, and again, every goalkeeper is different. So just because it works for him doesn't mean it's going to work for me, but it's fantastic to see and try and take little pieces that I think will work for me. And then on the other hand, honestly, off the pitch, he's a fantastic guy. He's a great character. So to see that side of him and really understand that, that's, you got to be a good footballer, but that's a big part of, being a good player and being a good person that I take.
When you were growing up in Saskatchewan as a kid, could you have imagined that you'd be at training facing shots from another legend like Olivier Giroud and Carlos Vela and guys like that?
No, I didn't really imagine that. I imagined just kind of my different goals and trying to get to different points. But yeah, I think that kid, that 13-year-old kid in Saskatchewan, if he would have seen that, he'd be like, oh, we're taking this in a second. Like, this is a dream come true, right? So it's exciting.
Thomas, you're a goalie with LAFC. You have not been booed yet here. But what is it like being on the other side of the rivalry between these two teams?
Yeah, it was strange. I was extremely happy to come and get 3 points. It's important for the team, especially as we try and make a run, and hopefully Galaxy slips up so we can get first. But at the same time, it's strange coming in here and taking a right to go to this change room instead of taking a right to go to that change room. Walking across, going to the other side of the pitch. It's a different experience, and I have a ton of good memories here. So my best memories of my life have been here. So I was extremely happy to be back. At the same time, just it's another game where we want to get 3 points.
What's it been like to be with MDS again, a coach that you were familiar with a little bit here in Vancouver? Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like, in Vancouver, he was always a guy that would help us. And he was actually, when I made my debut, he was my coach. So those first 2 years when I was really getting minutes of playing, it was under him. So it's fantastic to also go to LA. And again, when you go into a new environment, a new place, to have a familiar face that kind of knows you is a big plus. So yeah, it made home away from home get home quicker. Could this be a matchup maybe in the playoffs, this rivalry renewed again?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anything's possible, right? So.
So it was great catching up with Thomas there. Har joined LAFC June 5th, 2024 for this year, next year, and with a 2026 option. So, Lloris is not going to be there forever. Now, whether Thomas is the guy that takes over or whether they bring in another big name keeper, you have to think they might do that. But he's going to learn a lot. It's going to help his own career. He's already got a game just recently down in Dallas. I wish him all the very best. He's such such a great guy. He's a good keeper. He's a great prospect. And hopefully he's one of the 3 keepers for 2026.
Yeah, he's a great person. It was great to see him catch up with him. He's doing good. He's fit. He's happy. He had a nice sunny tan.
Yeah.
I asked him, as you guys heard, being on the opposite side of the rivalry, coming back to Vancouver. So that's an interesting perspective. He's with MDS. So it's a good opportunity for learnings, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully he gets some more playing time, maybe next year, as LAFC's in a lot of competition. So hopefully they have some rotation and he can get some matches. But yeah, just great to see him.
Yeah, I think you're right, Michael. That's obviously got to be a goal for him, right? A personal goal to get back to the level where he can be in the conversation to be a part of the national team. And I think he's in a great place because, like you said, obviously he's got the mentoring kind of going on. But when you think about MLS, not a lot of sides spend a significant amount on their keeper, or there hasn't been too many, like, whatever. There's, Lloris, Tim Howard came back from Europe. There's been a few who've come back, right? I guess you could say Casey Keller, whatever. There's been a few over the course of time. But typically, in MLS, goalkeepers, there's a good number of quality.
Yeah, they're not valued.
Right. But there's teams like LAFC who want to spend on attacking players.
St. Louis with their goalie.
Oh yeah, Berkey is another example.
Yeah, that's
but
an outlier.
But a lot of teams are trying to look for a keeper who's like good value, but still like they sort of did that with Max a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so I can see after a year or two, or whenever Lloris is done, it's the opportunity he's been waiting for. And if he's proven to them behind the scenes and in training and all that kind of stuff, that he can take that and then gets opportunities in, hopefully, let's say, I don't know, the US Open Cup, if they're allowed to play that next year or whatever.
They might not, because they're in the Champions Cup.
Exactly.
But I'm sure they'll be like, we want to defend our title. Like, I can't remember who it was this year that was like, yeah, we want to defend our title.
Yeah.
Too many cups.
Hopefully he gets some competitive games to also prove himself. And then this could be, this could be the break that, every young player longs for, especially a keeper.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said there was other clubs interested, but like having someone like Lloris there is one of the things that swayed him. And also knowing Mark, and it was interesting. Max Anchor came in and said hi to Mark. They had a good chat and had a hug, and it's like he has a lot of respect still amongst a lot of the players.
Yeah.
Mark.
Oh, DeSantis? Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
But like, talking of Max Anchor, he's going to be in action next weekend as WFC2 get their playoffs underway. They are going to be taking on Pamadou-Kaz, North Texas. He's not in charge there, but I still like to think of them as Pamadou-Kaz, North Texas. The number 1 seed in the West, the number 1 seed overall in MLS Next Pro. They had first pick of who they wanted to play this playoffs with the system that they've got there. And instead of picking the number 8 seed, they went for the number 7 seed of Whitecaps 2. And it's an interesting one because the Whitecaps won the first meeting between the two down there on penalties. It was 0-0. Then they won the shootout. And North Texas just squeaked by 1-0 in the game here. I find it a very odd selection, but all the best to the guys, and hopefully they can get that job done. That might be the only playoff run we've got to look forward to this month.
Maybe they picked them because of the travel and the heat and the long distance and the time zone difference.
Their coach did say something about travel and stuff, and some of the other teams, like, I can't remember, I think it was St. Louis, wanted a team that had to travel from the west because they knew that they would have to do the cross-country travel. I mean, we gave our thoughts on it last week, Har. What do you think about that? You pick your own opponent for the playoffs. I actually really like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. It adds to some banter and maybe some trash talk leading up to the game and then bragging rights. So that's an interesting wrinkle. I don't know if MLS would do that, but I like it.
Because, I mean, the Whitecaps will be like, oh, they've picked us first because they think we're the easiest one, obviously. Let's go and show them that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would add an interesting wrinkle, and I think something could be tried in, here in North America, where I think there's an openness to changing, cup formats. And it would be interesting if you to see if like you'd have any of like, Seattle choosing Portland situations, being like, hey,
Yeah.
we think we can beat them, but we also think it's, good for our fans and, that kind of thing.
I mean, this year, everyone would be saying, we want the Whitecaps.
Yeah, probably.
Not or Portland?
No, I think Portland's too much of they could beat us team. Whereas in the
Right.
form that we're in just now, it's like, yeah, let's go for the Whitecaps.
Oh yeah, good old Evander, right? Scoring for fun.
Yeah,
And
and
Max.
assisting for fun.
Yeah.
Last thing to talk about in this part, last Whitecaps chat, and then we will let Har go away in a nice way. That didn't come off as nice as I meant.
I'm going away for a while now.
Yes.
You won't see me
Well,
anymore.
Vanni said he needed to sleep for what was it, 3 days or something now? Or the women's elite team will be back in action. We'll be back at BC Place on Tuesday, Har.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I might
So,
head down as well.
Let me know if they're serving leftovers in the
The turkey?
Yeah, I'll take some Tupperware.
well, that's tradition, right? After Thanksgiving, you have
Yeah,
leftovers.
we make a lovely curry turkey bake with like rice and cream of mushroom, condensed soup, and some peas and some breadcrumbs. It's delicious.
Nice.
If you want the recipe, get in touch. We can send it along. But yeah, the Whitecaps Girls Elite are taking on Vancouver Rise part owner Christine Sinclair and her Portland Thorns side, led by Canadian head coach Rob Gale, friend of the show. We've known Rob for many a year. New assistant appointed,
Yes.
Stephen Hart. Not Canadian, but kind of Canadian.
A very significant player in Canadian football over the years, yeah.
And Canadian captain Jesse Fleming.
Yeah.
And
Karina LeBlanc's kind of moved on, though, to a new role.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that role? I was going to ask you. I saw on Instagram. I was like, what is this?
I don't know. It's something she's overseeing things for the Thorns and the new women's basketball team.
It might be a quiet way of moving her into a new role, but I'm curious to see what that role is and how that transpires.
It is odd. I didn't know she had lots of interest in basketball, for example, or knowledge. But it's going to be an interesting game, Har. Christine Sinclair, who doesn't do a lot of media, is actually on the pre-game call tomorrow at BC Place. So I might head down for that, partly to speak to her, but I also want to catch up with Rob Gale because it's been quite a few years since I chatted to him since he left Valor.
If you do, give him my best. He's a quality dude.
I got a lot of time for Rob, and we have known him for years, so hopefully we can get a little bit of a chat with him. But the tickets look a little bit better for this one, but it's nowhere near the big sales that I was thinking. And I think it's just because the level of the Whitecaps team. But I mean, the chance to get out and see Christine Sinclair in her last competitive appearance in Vancouver, I mean, the fans should get out for this one.
Yeah, it would also help if it was marketed more too. You get more fans.
A Tuesday night as well after a long weekend is also not ideal. But yeah, what are you expecting on Tuesday? I mean, you've seen a lot more of the Thorns than me this year.
They've not had a great season. They did finally get a win over Marta and Orlando, I believe, on Friday. And Christine scored in that game too. So she's in form. I think we'll see a similar game to what we saw against San Diego. We're just a very strong Vancouver team that's really prepared defensively and is able to withstand the Portland attack. I'm curious to see which Portland players start and then which ones are rested. Sophia Smith, the star for the Portland team, didn't play on Friday, so she's nursing a knock. And then how much does Christine play? I'd really like to see what Jessie Fleming does because she's really not played very much with the Thorns this year. And then we mentioned Janine with Sinclair leaving now and Karina gone. Is Jessie going to want to stay in Oregon with this exodus of Canadians? And what's her future as the captain? You need to be playing more and getting into games. So I'm curious to see Jessie Fleming as well as Christine and how they do out there and how they play. And just, it's going to be an exciting game, a good opportunity for both teams. And I think it's a must-win game for Portland if they want to advance to the next round.
So obviously I haven't watched Thorns lately because I've totally missed it. But
there's been a lot of football to watch, though, Zach, to be fair.
Earlier this year, though, even earlier this year, that was one of the things that stood out to me in the games that I did watch, and even some of the games that I saw scores and lineups and stuff. Is why is Fleming not being able to start and be dominant the way we would expect her to be, the way she is for Canada quite regularly?
Yeah, they have other options in the midfield. It's just finding minutes and getting her opportunities, and for whatever reason, she's not being utilized where she's consistently starting. It's not the Canadian national team. You have national team players from other countries and stars in their own right, and then they're getting minutes. And so, yeah, it's disappointing to see Fleming not play as much. So hopefully she gets more playing time next season wherever she plays.
Hard touched on it there. The group's interesting because right now, San Diego's top with 9 points, America's second on 6, and Portland are third on 6 because of the goal difference. Now, San Diego and America are playing the same night. So if Club America win that, they'll be on 9. San Diego will be in 9. The Thorns should beat the Whitecaps, so they would also be on 9. And it's like, oh, then it's coming down to goals. And San Diego only scoring 2 in that last game might come back to bite them in the ass.
So Portland might want to pile up the goals.
Well, Christine said in that call that we had with her last week where it announced her part ownership in Vancouver Rise, she said, I'm not going to go easy on the girls.
She did say that.
It's also not the Christine Sinclair of a couple of years ago as well. The one thing I will say about the San Diego game, because we didn't really talk about it on the show, full credit to the girls. It was a great defensive performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun to watch, though. Like just seeing a team just defend, and just not able to get out of their own half. It's not a great spectacle. And I hope that next year something can be done so it is the Rise that's in and not the girls elite, because it's a development for these girls. It's a chance for them to learn some stuff, but it can't be a lot of fun at times.
It was strange being in a stadium with 1,603 fans and that one person making a racket that everyone could hear.
Mr. Cedric. That was Har's first experience of him.
I didn't enjoy it.
No.
I find that hard to believe that was your first encounter. Michael told me about that, I think.
Yes.
Later.
She's lucky, really. And there was no pot and ladle, which was...
I'm thankful for the 2 security guards that were standing near him.
Yeah, he had his own security detail.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, just over 1,600 attendance for that one. Nice little bomb drop there from her, because I haven't seen that announced anywhere.
Yeah, Birdie told me that.
I think this one, like looking at the ticket sales, is definitely more tickets sold, but there's still a lot available. And it's
it's supposed to be raining pretty good too.
Yeah, because tomorrow's meant to be pouring as well. So that...
Yeah, all week is bad for the weather.
We'll see the sun for a while.
But yeah, her last game in BC, for Christine, her last game in BC, and the fact that she's already said, like, yeah, it's going to be raining goals, should help to get some people out, no? Or
I hope it's going to be raining actual rain.
Like, what do you guess? What are you guessing the attendance will be?
I'd like to be optimistic and say a few thousand, but
I mean,
I'd like to say 5, but I don't know.
I'm thinking 3 to 4 from when I looked at the map a couple of days ago.
I think 5 would be good, but I don't know if we'll get 5.
Okay, so in my mind, I was being a little more optimistic. I thought you were going to say like 10 as like the low number, but okay.
Oh no, it's only a little part of the stadium that's open as well.
There's only one side.
Yeah, but that's only open because they don't expect to sell many tickets.
Yes. Well, yes. And there's still a lot of seats in that one side.
That's like the sellouts of 22,000 back in the day, right? Like,
it's kind of ironic. Christine starts her career playing maybe not in front of a lot of fans, and now one of her last games, not that many fans.
No, but her final game
it's like rain and her last playing day.
No,
I agree with her. No, but nice try.
What's next on the schedule?
It's goodbye time, unless Zach's got any more questions for her.
I have some other questions for her. Like, yeah, how? It's kind of a follow up on the attendance thing from the elite teams venture into CONCACAF. How concerning is this for the Rise? Those who are running the Rise and I guess the Rise faithful. Is it concerning at all, or is this like this is going to be apples and oranges, so this shouldn't
I
matter?
don't think it's concerning. It's different because they're playing at BC Place, and then the Rise are not going to be playing at BC Place. We actually don't know where they're going to be playing, so until we know what stadium it's going to be, that would be helpful. Then determining kind of what their season ticket packages are. I think it's 25 games for each team, so determining that, what kind of time, like times of the week, what day and what time. So determining all of that, I think it's going to be a factor. But yeah, they're not going to be playing at BC Place, and I don't think they'll be doing double headers with the Whitecaps either.
No, they definitely will not. Because I asked Sinead about that, and that's not in the plans. I have heard.
I expect them to be naming a new coach, a head coach, the first head coach. I expect that hopefully soon, hopefully in the next few weeks, because there are only 2 teams that don't have a head coach.
Yeah,
Vancouver and Calgary.
Has to be Carm.
Is the stadium, is it likely to be like UBC out at UBC?
Well, here's the little rumblings that I've heard. Percy Perry in Coquitlam is very much the frame.
That's what I heard too.
But there was some documentation that went out that when it was getting folk to do the deposits, and then it got amended, but it had that they would be playing somewhere at UBC, which can only be Thunderbird Stadium. But I think that might just have been that they'd left that in and it hadn't got taken out. But Percy Perry was the little rumbling that I had heard.
Wasn't it that they thought Swangard was too small?
Well, initially they thought Swangard was too small. Percy Perry's less, but they've got a bit of scope that they can do work at Percy Perry.
Yeah, it's
but also Swangard's a lot more in demand.
But Percy Perry has so many positives going for it, in my opinion. Like the SkyTrain now goes right there.
Yes.
So if you're downtown, you're like, yeah, I want to get out. If you're in Surrey, you get there.
Sketchy woods nearby.
No, you do walk through a park. It's got a beautiful Lafarge Lake.
Lafarge Lake, it's
gorgeous.
There.
Like go at Christmas
you don't have to walk
park.
through. I don't think you even have to walk through that part if you want. You can.
I don't like the woods.
On the
Bad
sidewalk.
things happen in the woods.
Yes, I apologized for that.
Yeah, I don't forgive you.
It's not that kind of wood, Har. It's not like, it's not a forest you're going through. I think it.
Har, not a fan of wood.
I don't like the woods.
I think it would be a nice place for them to play if they can get it to the capacity they want.
Yeah.
Also, it does have does it still have a track? It had a track back in
does.
Yeah, but that I also like the little roof there that reminds of the old
like
Olympia.
Sails, so it ties in with the Whitecaps.
No, it looks like the old Olympia Stadium in Munich. The roof. That's what it makes me think of every time I see it. Anyways, but
yeah, coach would be good. A stadium, maybe some players.
They won't come. I still think the first player that will get announced will be Geneva.
Wasn't it Benny Stein that was talking about that they were negotiating maybe with Sophie Schmidt?
He'd heard that they had been asking if she wanted to come, but like with all respect to Sophie, I'm not sure that she's somebody that is going to put all the bums on the seats either. But I'd rather that they went younger. Is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
But
you like young girls.
I think maybe Sophie's not the ideal like first signing or captain, or maybe she might be a good captain, or she would be a good captain. But
she would.
But yeah, I think she would be good for the team. Just maybe not that splashy first signing, but they're good. They're going to need some older players. They're going to need some players.
For sure.
For the national team.
Yeah.
And she's at the stage of life where it might be a bit easier to bring.
Signed a 2-year deal though.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm hoping for and what the reality is, like money wise, is the kind of players I think I want them to attract in year one. The money's not going to be there to get those kind of players. So it's probably going to be players that's maybe towards the end of their career or up and coming internationals from, say, El Salvador or Guatemala and countries like that. Just pick them at random. I've not heard anything.
Seth, do you have any more questions?
No, a few of the things that we're going to ask kind of got rolled into that conversation. So yeah, thanks for your insight and your expertise, Har.
The women's national team's playing during the window in October in Spain against Spain. Currently, as we record, they do not have a head coach in place for that game or staff. I was talking to Kaylin Sheridan about that when she was here.
Oh yeah,
And I know,
we were talking about this last episode, or we were talking about after last episode, weren't we, Michael?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we were talking about after last episode. So
So
are you coaching them, Har, or what's going to happen there?
no, I'm not. I'm unavailable that day.
She's
Okay.
taking her drone license course.
Yeah, I'm almost completed it.
Come on, guys. The coach doesn't do that. They just.
Sorry. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what
they're gonna
happened?
be-
If they take long enough, Bev Priestman's 1 year will be up and they can just put her back in.
Oh
But they
my.
should have a coach named soon because the window opens on the 21st. So you have to announce the roster. I assume the coach would pick the roster. So there's that. And then there's a window in November. And hopefully the women's team will play in Canada. That'd be nice if they played some games in their own country for once.
And just for clarity, Har, what happened to what's his name? Andy?
Yeah, we don't know.
He's still, I think he'll be the coach for the games next month.
But why haven't they just said that then? What's the suspense?
I guess maybe they're still doing investigations and stuff. Or...
Yeah, what if they have him coach and then they get rid of him? Why would he want to do that?
Well, he's just interim, I guess, but
That's the tag he had, right? So
yeah,
they don't have to change that
no.
nomenclature for him. They can just keep it
I
that
don't
way.
know.
It's like Carswell with England right now on the men's side. He's the interim coach, and he's probably not going to be moving on from that, but he's interim coach till the end of the year or something, they said.
That's weird.
Like to get him through the Nations League games and stuff.
Yeah, but that release when they announced the game had that little thing at the bottom said it will be the coaching staff would be announced at a later date. If you're gonna have Andy Spence, why wouldn't you just say Andy Spence will be in place?
Maybe he doesn't want it.
Exactly.
Because there is going to be a lot of questions coming his way. Although they are over in Spain, so I guess they would avoid that.
Well, usually they do a media call when the roster's announced. So
Yeah.
curious to see if that occurs. And I would like them to play in Canada so the fans can connect with the players and see them play, because the last game in Canada was in Toronto right before they went to the Olympics. And, that's in the spring. And so we get into the winter months and come on. The men's team's playing in Toronto on Tuesday. It'd be nice to see the women's team play in their own country.
Have you checked the motocross schedule?
I have.
I think on that note, Har, where can people find your stuff online?
You can find me on the internet. You probably know where. Also, to the
I know
fans,
where.
I will not be taking up with any nonsense or any BS. So if you want to have a go at me because the attendance, I've said announced attendance, or if I've said Vanni might be suspended, or I wasn't sure, I don't care. I don't have time for that. I go out to training. I write all these stories. I get the quotes. I get the information. If you don't like it, you want to have a go at me, I will block your ass. I don't have time for you.
Har's having a turkey meltdown.
And I did not appreciate having everyone have a go at me over the Stuart Armstrong signing.
Oh, yes.
Because as Michael knows, they were not going to sign him. He was not coming here. That thing got done at the last second. He arrived here on transfer deadline day in the UK. And when the fans see how much money he's making, you'll see, in my opinion, why he signed here.
Oh, I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Well,
that's my mic drop. Peace out.
Thank you, as always, for joining us, Har. It is always a pleasure. We'll get you on a lot more. I've got a few ideas to pitch to you for next year as well, so we'll talk about that. But have a good rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. If you have any more turkey, enjoy it. I'll probably see you tomorrow, as I'm saying all this anyway at BC Place, but I'll definitely see you on Tuesday. And as always, Har, thank you for joining us. That is it for the Whitecaps chat. We're turning our attention to the CPL and the big playoff battle that is going right down to the wire. And we'll be back with that after this episode's Britpop song.
Hello, it's Kei Kamara, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Is
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. And is it my imagination, Zach? Was that Oasis that kicked off this part? And indeed it was. Their fourth single released by the band on October 10th, 1994. One of their more iconic songs from their early days, obviously featuring on their debut album, Definitely Maybe, and that was Cigarettes and Alcohol. And I think a lot of Whitecaps fans might have been drowning their sorrows with some alcohol and maybe some wacky-backy cigarettes after that game against LA. And I think around CPL, there's going to be some fans as well that were maybe drowning their sorrows this weekend. Although 7 of the 8 teams, I was going to say, have something to play for next weekend. 6 do.
Yeah.
York doesn't really matter. They're in. They can't go, yeah, they're fourth. They can't go higher. They can't go lower.
Forge also doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I guess now we're down to... And Halifax got officially eliminated. So 5 teams have something to play for.
It's a crazy end of the season.
There's something worth playing for.
I can't remember if we were talking about this last week, but it's a crazy end of the season where there is still tons to play for. So yeah.
Well, it's a crazy situation. There's finally something worth playing for.
Oh, Michael.
What would think we scripted this show? It's just we're wonderful. I'm in turkey delirium.
Well, I guess we'll talk about the week, but Halifax is done. Forge has already lifted the title and has the #1 spot. But yeah, there's a battle between Cavs and Ottawa for second spot, and then there's a battle between Valor via the 2 VFCs and PFC for that final postseason spot.
Listening to the Vancouver game today, Adam Jenkins, who I have a lot of time for, I love him. He's my favorite commentator in One Soccer. I think he's really good. He said, for want of a better name, we're calling this rivalry the VFC Derby. And I'm thinking, it's not a rivalry. It's just 2 teams in the league that are playing each other.
Yeah.
And the VFC Derby is not a good name for it.
No. I understand why they use it, but yeah.
I know not everything has to be a rivalry. That's what really annoys me.
Phil said post game he described their matches with Cavs as our rivals.
Yeah, which it kind of is because they're the closest team. Yeah. Unless Thunder Bay Chill come in at some point. Now that I learned who Thunder Bay Chill is.
It would be nice if Thunder Bay Chill came into the league, and yeah, they could be like a Halifax. Like they would have very strong local support if they did.
Well, one of the players I was commentating on at the UBC game at the weekend had come through the Thunder Bay Chill system.
I believe it.
So I mean, they've got a very good thing going there. But let's not get sidetracked. CPL chat. Let's start off things on Thursday evening.
Oh,
and I think maybe the shock result of the weekend, I didn't see it coming. And into the 80th minute, I definitely didn't see it coming.
No.
York United 1, Pacific FC 2. Oswaldo Leon gave York the lead very much against the run of play, it has to be said, in the 44th minute. Pacific, now full credit to James Merriman. I asked him this after the last game. I was like, do you just have to go for it in these last 2 games? And it's like, well, can't really just totally go for it. He's got to have a little bit of kind of structure, but we know we need to basically win these last 2 games. They went for it from the start. They forced 11 corners in that first half. And for an away team to force 11 corners, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
I can remember.
But the goal for York was it was essentially a volley off the corner or half volley or whatever.
Yeah.
Wing of the left peg there. And
I mean, that would have been enough, though, you think. We're on the road, we've dominated, we've gone behind, and your heads would have gone down.
Yeah.
But it was a more even second half, but Pacific still made a lot of the running. Ticked into the last 10 minutes. Rion Moore. He that broke TSS hearts.
Yeah, your favorite
with
player.
His late stoppage time goal. Hasn't really done it since.
Oh, he's been really poor for them. Yeah.
A couple of assists. I think he had one goal for them up to this. There's been injuries and stuff. I don't think anyone on their bingo card would have had a Rion Moore double in the
Brace.
space of 6 minutes.
No, not at all.
82nd, 88th minute, two well-taken goals. And Dario Zanata
Oh, yeah.
deserves all the credit on the match winner because he could have selfishly gone for it.
Totally. Yeah, I was watching that back earlier and I was just like, oh,
I was
very.
worried it was going to be offside. You had to time that right.
Yeah. No, it was smart, just a smart play by Dario. We know he's a smart footballer. We know he's a person who not just scores goals, but creates goals when he's at his best. And just really good. It was simple decision making, but it was also really good decision making, and like you said, good timing as well. Always happy for Dario when he does well. Unfortunately, this time it was in a Pacific kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very frustrating Thursday night because for the majority of it, I was just like, oh, or I mean, after the Leon goal, you're just like, okay, they're not going to come back and win. They're not going to come back and get points, let alone win this.
I was watching it with like half an eye, and then when it got to 1-1, I was like, oh, okay, we're back on here. I actually let out a cheer when the second goal went in.
We didn't watch the very beginning, but then we put it on and we were getting ready to go to the Vancouver.
Oh, yeah, because we were texting back and forth.
Yeah. So we got in the car and I got Kirk to put it on the iPad, and Kirk was able to walk me through what was happening, which was very, very frustrating. Because also one of the things that happened after the
in stoppage, deep in stoppage time. Yeah.
Kirk just kept on yelling, how could you miss that?
That's a very valid question.
Yeah, it was.
The ball came right across the goal. Can't even remember who it was now.
I don't remember who it was. Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
It was bad.
And it's huge in the grand scheme of things as well, that miss.
It was a little number 17. The guy who starts with the V, long last name. I think that's who it was.
If he's got a long last name, I'm not going to try and attempt that. But yeah, 2-1 win for Pacific that shaped then what was going to come over the rest of the weekend. Before we get to the rest of the weekend, though, I had to jump in the post-game call as a Pacific FC fan, as you know, Zach. For those that don't regularly listen to the show, I'm the PFC fan, Zach's the VFC fan. Just have that little rivalry going because I got my hat. I like Stew the Starfish. And most importantly, they play the players that I know and like.
I forgot to get you could have got a Ivan Mejia kit today for $25.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think there was two of them. I think both kids. I forgot
Did they make him hand it back?
They were there in the bin. They had all last year's jerseys that were like there were players' names on them.
It was like
and Gloria Amanda from this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Gloria Amanda's top from the preseason.
Oh man,
yeah. $25.
It was Fan Appreciation Day at BC Place today, so they're giving jerseys, game-worn jerseys to fan season ticket holders in the stand. And the first one they gave out was Stuart Armstrong, and the woman held it up, and I said, "Gently used." Then they held up Pedro Vita's one that looked like a child's. It was so small. It was crazy. Anyway, back to this. So, yeah, I jumped in the post-game, had a chat with James Merriman, who was as cock-a-hoop as James gets, playing things down, not getting too carried away. Here's what James had to tell me. Hey, James, congratulations on the big win. I wanted to ask you about Dario. Obviously, it's been a bit of a tough season for him. Getting that first goal a couple of weeks ago seems to have just unleashed the Dario that we know he can be, and that unselfishness tonight on the winning goal is obviously huge. Can you talk a little bit just about how you've seen his growth with the team this year?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we can give to Dario is he went from season to season. He never really got an off season. He never got a break. He came straight from Scotland and came right into preseason with us. And then maybe in the middle of the season he was fighting his game a little bit. He's getting some frustration there, and it wasn't going his way. But he's got really good character. He's got a great personality in the team and in the locker room. He's got great experience. He's played a lot of games as a professional. He's still young, and he's representing the island Pacific, and it's where he's from. It's where he's grown up. So I think he's turned his season around in the second half of the season, to be honest, and he's really showing his quality. He's showing his leadership. He's showing his experience, and the pass tonight, I think, kind of also shows where he's at with the team, and to be unselfish in that moment shows what he's bringing to the group right now. He's been excellent the last few weeks, especially the last month or 2 months.
The character and the mentality of the team, it's clear to see the last few games, even when the going's been tough. But the late goal when Halifax there in the point, the 2 late goals tonight, you've shown you can go and battle on the road. And you know now if you do get in the playoffs, it's obviously going to be on the road for it. But to come to a place like York tonight, basically dominate most of the game, how does that set the group up now if you do get in the playoffs? Because you know you're probably going to be back here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll give us a big confidence. But to be honest, I think we always have that belief in ourselves. The biggest struggle has been not taking opportunities to not be in the position we're in, where we're still fighting to get into the playoffs. That's the number one focus right now for us, to get there and to finish in 5th place, to earn that spot. And then I think where we go and who we face, we don't fear any opposition. We're not worried about going anywhere across the league to play. It's been that struggle of missed opportunities and fighting to get into the playoff position, which is a position we've always been in as a club, as a team. So I think it's been more of that. So yeah, we take confidence from tonight for sure, but we know the job's not done yet. Still not done. So we'll enjoy tonight, but we need to switch our focus quickly to Forge.
Cheers, James. Good luck, safe travels, and enjoy watching the rest of the games this weekend.
Thank you.
James Merriman there. And as I said at the end of it there, Zach, enjoy the rest of your football watching this weekend. And I'm sure he did. Because that win moved Pacific into the 5th and final playoff spot, not controlling their own destiny. They needed a few extra things to happen. Saturday's games, no point really talking about Forge and Ottawa. 2-0 win for Ottawa. Forge went down a man, Hajipur.
Yeah, that's the title at the end, the league title.
Yes.
First time ever they've done that. Yeah.
And yeah, it was a very good Atletico win. I mean, maybe finding form. You wouldn't be wanting to play them going into the business end of the season.
No, because they're still battling with Cavs for that final spot.
Yeah. Talking to the Cavs, they were made to work hard. Patrice Geyser's Halifax side, another coach that I said last week, he's just going to go for it. And they went down. Tobias Warszewski, maybe worryingly for the rest of the leagues, now started to hit form, scoring in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
Opened the score in the 48th minute after a cagey first half. Wanderers, though, Probo, great leveller in the 53rd. Halifax had to go for it. Like, a draw wasn't any use to them. They had to get the win. They were pushing a little bit, but then Callum Montgomery, 79th minute, gave Cavalry the 2-1 win, moved them back into 2nd place.
His first ever goal for Cav, their first ever goal in CPL or something.
Oh, was it?
I think so, yeah.
That took them up to 45 points, 5 behind Forge. Ottawa on 43. So that's going to be an interesting battle between those two in the last weekend of the season. York's on 39 and 4th. They can't catch those above them. They can't be caught by those below them. But it's those below them that we want to talk now, because the final match of the weekend, Pacific had moved into 5th, 31 points. Halifax eliminated in 8th on 27. Valor and Vancouver headed into this one. Both of them needing a win. A draw was not going to suit them. And I don't know if it was because there was so much on the line, not wanting to overcommit, but that, as I texted you, and you agreed, was a horrible first half of football. That was not fun to watch. There was one shot on target in the whole first half.
Yeah, it was. We talked about this after the match with both sets of coaches and even the players as well. It was Afshin took a very much he basically felt if they go gung ho, if they come out guns blazing, then Valor just going to sit back and hit them on the counter. And so
that surely wouldn't happen.
So he was very concerned about making sure that they had a defensively responsible side. They played a 4-4-1-1, and even though I know I think he played a little bit on both sides, but they played Alan Enu at left back, and then they had Pairs G in front of him. So sometimes it actually felt like they switched into almost like a back five when they needed to, with G tucking in, 5-3-2 or 5-3-1-1 or whatever. But they didn't play. That's other things. They didn't totally play it safe. I mean,
but they just didn't create.
Well, they did create, but the chances that they could create, they couldn't like get the final shot off or the final shot.
Okay, so their penetration in the final third was
but
there.
But they, I think, successfully lived out the game plan and didn't give Valor anything really.
No, Valor had 2 shots in the whole match, and only one of them was on target.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, from a Vancouver point of view, the one that was on target ended up in the back of the net. Jordan Faria, 54th minute, a very quick counter-attack that I watched it back again before we started recording. I still can't understand where the Vancouver defense went.
Yeah, they were pressing forward in the game, and Action kind of said it was unacceptable the way the defenders in that moment failed to respond to the situation. I mean, Rocco's left out hung to dry in it.
You can't pin. I was gonna say you can't pin any fault on him. The only thing may have been, I was talking to Sam about this at the Caps game. If Rocco had stepped up
earlier,
he may have got the offside decision.
But Cameron was the right back, and Cameron had started the attack for VFC and just failed to recover, and the people in the middle of the park failed to recognize the situation and get over in time. So yeah, it was very unfortunate. Unfortunate the assist is from Sean Hundle, but at least he didn't score.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like we talked about this with Dario. It's like Sean could have been selfish and just gone for the glory.
Totally.
But as I watched it playing out, because I was picking Caitlin up from the ferry, which I ended up not going to the game because it was going to be way too tight to try and get back to the Whitecaps game. And as it turned out, there was lots of stoppage time and everything as well. Also, Caitlin had gone to see her dad for the weekend, so this gave me the chance to pick her up. So I'd got home just as the second half was starting, and I literally said out loud in that breakaway, "Watch the runner!" It was so clear they were going to score because he was streaking, unmarked. And like David Norman tried to get back. Ashton did say afterwards, it's unacceptable. And he mentioned like the goalkeeper communication. I don't know what Callum could have done with that.
Well, I think what he was saying is the players at the back could have maybe communicated better to like get out wide to the wide open guy.
All right.
I think that's what part of his frustration on that. And that was one thing is the halves were kind of two, again, we talked about this a bunch in the post game, but the halves, it was kind of a tale of two halves where the first half was kind of this KG affair where everyone was like just happy to kind of feel things out and make sure they weren't exposed. The second half was kind of like just kind of wide open with
it was entertaining.
Both teams going for it because again, they both needed to win so badly. And so you have Valor take this a goal at the 53rd, 54th minute, something like that. And then it opened things up as VFC kind of kept on pouring things forward and made some significant substitutions. To me, I said to Afshin after the game, to me, the turning point of the game is bringing on Grady McDonald. Right?
Oh, absolutely. He was excellent again.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
For me, there was two things that changed this up. One was the subs, and one was the incident where friend of the show, Gianfranco Fascineri, former Whitecap player, free kicked the ball towards his goalkeeper Viscosi, who picked it up, and then Alejandro Diaz was like, "What's handball?" Incidentally, I clarified what we were talking about last week. It's not an automatic red card for handling out the box.
Right.
It's only if it is dogso.
Right. So would that one have been a yellow card?
It would have been a yellow if it had been given.
Really? Because Diaz is there and there's no one behind the keeper. Because that's exactly what I was thinking about it at the moment that was happening. Like I was like, maybe it'll just be a yellow card. Maybe it'll just be a yellow card because, maybe it's just a yellow card. But do you understand? I don't know if I haven't listened to the broadcast. Do you understand why they did what they did though in the end?
Oh yeah, I think they're 100% right. So the whistle hadn't blown to restart the game. So Fascineri had just kicked it towards Viscosi. And his whole body language, it's very evident he's going to take the free kick. To me, anyway. And the only reason he picked the ball up was because Diaz was coming towards the ball.
Right.
And I guess he didn't want to take any chances that the referee was like, "Oh no, you've kicked it."
Yeah.
It's risky, but it saved his side a possible goal if that was how it played out. I think the rest were right in this because it was clear that he was going to take it, and the whistle hadn't blown. But it was a very risky.
But here's the thing, Michael. You and I both know that there are many, many times in football where players restart the match without the referee blowing the whistle.
Oh yeah.
And referees are totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Me, it was a total chicken way out for the referee.
Yeah.
And his assistant.
But the linesman right away put his flag up.
Right. And the referee's assistant puts his flag up as though it's something, it was like a foul, foul or whatever. An incident has happened on the field.
Yep.
Right. And to me, in my opinion, it should have been a sending off. And the technicality that they got away with that is not always applied in the game. It was weak. It was just really weak. Really funny fact, Michael. Before the match, was one of the banners couldn't go up all the way because of the screen was being done, and so there was just a couple of things had to be done. And so one of the people I brought to the game went with me over. We were doing it, and as we were over there, a gentleman walked by. Do you remember Mark Aruda or Marco Aruda?
No, but it makes me go Aruda.
Anyways, he was walking by and he said hi, and I looked over and he's wearing a CSA jacket or shirt or whatever. And I'm just like, and I just paused and I was like, I know you from somewhere. Like,
I might know him by face.
I don't know you. And he's like, oh, he's just like, yeah, like in my younger fitter days, I used to ref and line games at Swangard and at BC Place and whatever. And I was like, oh, I was like, so you're here today doing the referee evaluation for the CSA? And he's like, yeah. And I said, I hope you don't have a lot to evaluate, but I honestly think he very much does. Because it wasn't the only situation that felt a little bit odd. It felt like it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was totally one-sided, but it felt like there was a lot of those times where there was just lack of consistency. It'd be like this.
I think that is something that just annoys fans so much.
Totally. You give it in this situation, you don't give it in that situation. Again, regardless of team. Right.
I mean, like that was Vanni's complaint last week. It's like, well, if that's a foul or if that's a penalty, then this is exactly the same because it was the same amount of contact and it should have been this. And I think that is what drives coaches and fans and players nuts.
Totally.
And I saw an interesting refereeing decision. I finally got out to my first VMSL game of the season on Friday night.
Nice.
I had a free Friday. Wife was away. How would I spend it? VMSL, Friday night, under the lights, Burnaby Lake. Emiliano Brienza playing for Columbus. It was a free kick to the other team, which was Reno's Altitude. Reno's and Altitude are now working together so that Altitude's got a team throughout the winter, the League One side. Keeper had taken a free kick, and the Altitude Reno's keeper had taken a free kick, and the referee blew it back because the ball had been moving. For some reason, Emiliano Brienza mouthed off like crazy about it. It was a nothing thing. And it hadn't been picked up by his team. It wasn't going to spark a break. So he just kept mouthing and mouthing and mouthing. And the referee left it, and then he kept mouthing, so he pulls out the yellow card. And then Emmy's still going off. And his teammates and the bench and everything are like, Emmy, shut up. Just shut up. Stop talking. And the referee goes to his pocket, and they're like, Emmy, stop it. So he stops it for a few seconds and then says something else. Second yellow, off. 2 bookings for dissent in the space of a minute. It was so bad. If you're a coach, you're like, what the fuck were you doing there?
Seriously, yeah.
And
that's brutal.
It's like, I got even up. There's another red card later, and Columbus got the win with a 95th minute stoppage time winner. But it's like, what? Why? Would you just keep mouthing when the refs clearly told you one more word and that's it? Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just...
That's like a little bit of the red mist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just so... Because I hadn't filmed the first yellow, but the way he was mouthing, I was like, oh, he's getting sent off here. So I kept filming. I started filming. I was like, he's not going to shut up. And yep, there's the red card.
I think you said you saw me, but yeah, with the incident with the keeper, as soon as it, like, I didn't get the incident, but I got the after. Like, it took over 3 minutes for the referee to come to the conclusion.
Yes, which was why there was so much stoppage time, because the game was ticking down. It's like, I really need to leave to get down to BC Place. I finished it by Bluetoothing the game through my car speakers and just listening to the audio for the last 5 minutes and stoppage time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, to me, some people might look at that game and say, oh, a draw is a fair result. I don't think so. The chances that Vancouver FC created at the end of the match, whether it's Bitar Smith's just a couple of minutes later.
They should have won it. Like, as soon as they got, we should talk about the equaliser as well.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
we about Grady.
Yeah,
and it was a great knockdown header from him. Diaz was lucky because see when the first cross comes into the back post to Grady, Diaz for some inexplicable reason jumps with his arm up.
He was just waving at it.
But at any contact, that's it. The play's dead. But he didn't make contact, and then Grady won it, headed it down, and a great spin and finish from Diaz.
Yeah.
Now moving within 1 goal, I think, of Ten Campbell to be the all-time leading goal scorer in the CPL. It's 1 or 2 he's moved to.
Yeah.
Up to 10 for the season. And after that, I thought, oh, they're going to go on and get the winner.
Totally. So yeah, so after that beautiful, again, it's the second time this year that Grady and Weir have connected in that way. And then Grady just kept on storming down the right wing and putting in great quality balls. There was one he put in that I didn't know how nothing happened, and then I think the ball bounced out to Fry, and Fry, instead of burying it into the roof of the net, shoots low, and there's like 2 guys on the line who block it off, and Gabby had a left-footed stab that should have taken a touch, and there was more than enough good chances, good half chances, whatever you want to call them, that Vancouver FC really should have won. And in my opinion, obviously biased, they deserved to win that game.
I think they did as well. Like Valor had no attacking threat, and after it went to 1-1, that was it. Yeah. You started to watch for maybe some quick counter, but they didn't even mount that. And the draw, it doesn't really help anyone. It might, like in a week's time, we might be talking, oh, that draw was huge.
Well, I mean, first off, it keeps Valor in the picture. They still have a chance.
So Valor's in it. They're 7th on 28 points. We'll look at VFC standing in a second. First of all, I'll play you some post-game audio. Zach got a chance to chat with Phil DeSantis after the game. Here's what PDS had to say.
Phil, I was gonna say commiseration, but it was for draws. It might be a valuable one for you. So it was a huge match for your club and for
both.
Yeah, for both. I guess how do you see you play out? It looked like a really cagey affair in the first half, and a little bit more wide open in the second half. But how did you see your play from your scene?
Yeah, I think that it's the type of game that the team that has a little bit more emotional control um, is gonna get an edge or a small advantage. And in the second half, it became very chaotic, a little bit too much at my taste. I feel that we saw so much space with the fact that Vancouver was committing a lot of numbers forward. Even in the first half, we knew they play an aggressive line. They commit a lot of their fullbacks in the attacking phase. So for us, it was important to exploit those spaces, and we saw a few times in the first half where we were able to either get in behind and gain space and territory, and then just not enough of clarity in our decision making. The one time that we were a bit more clear, we ended up scoring the goal. But again, then it became all on emotions, very little clarity, I think, from both ends. I think that Vancouver got a bit of a upper hand, but that also opened a lot of space for us to try and get something. But it's hard for me to look at the guys and not understand the emotional factor that goes with it. I think the game became all about emotions, and we have to believe if it's still possible. We can't give up. We have to keep going. It's going to be a big game again. We have to do our part. You can't expect to win the lottery if you don't buy the ticket. So that's what we're going to try to do.
So as you go into this, you have a shorter week here, 6 days there for the weekend. How do you help your players just really focus?
Guys, it's one last dance. Right now, it's just go and play. I think yes, strategically you look at a few things that you can exploit from the opposition. You make sure that you stay and refine certain elements in your game, but there's no time or matches for us to change too much of what has been a second round of the season where the team lost 3 matches. I think for us it was about making steps. When you look at the way the season started, on the road, I think we had 10 points in the first 14 matches, and to be in the mix now leaves us a taste that we wanna break through. We wanna make it. So as long as it's possible, we'll preach what we've been preaching: believe, play to win, and yeah, just commit to who we are.
And can you talk about that a little bit more in terms of how you've seen the side grow? Even from last year, everything is improved. You've improved the squad, you've improved your place, you get points and all that kind of stuff. But how is it? I know you still have lots to play for, but how have you seen things come on for Valor as a club in these last?
Yeah, I think we take steps, and for us, it's the fact that we've set ourselves with a foundation that's going to allow the club to move forward and make the little refinements that we need to make. And but again, that's something for us to think about later on, and once things are done, hopefully at the end of the month or really in November, right? So yeah, we have to keep going. We absolutely have to keep pushing while we have life and we're alive, and we could make it mathematically. For us, it's going to be a big game in our stadium in front of our fans against what we consider a bit of a rival. So let's enjoy the moment, let's believe, and let's work to make sure that we get something out of it.
Last one from me, Phil. I wonder if you could speak to how you see the quality and the way that things are playing out for the league as a whole. It's going into for the league, it's very exciting. It's going into this last day. There's battles for that second spot. There's this huge battle for 3 teams for the last spot in the postseason. I'm just wondering your thoughts on that for like Canadian Premier League for Canadian football.
I think in any league, while there's competition until the end, it's important. That's why in other countries there's promotion, relegation. That's why, there's either continental cups or like you see in Europe with the Europa League and the Champions League, and same happens in South America. I think that you need a competition that you're always playing for something. And this year, I was telling Avshin that fifth place has been up for grabs, and if a team had just been a bit more, how can I say, clinical in key moments, it would have been done already. Now we're going all the way to the end, and I know that today probably Pacific looks at the position they're in, and they were rubbing hands with the fact that this game ended in a draw, and probably hoping for that. Look, we don't play thinking about that. Now we have to go out and do our job. It's all that matters.
Phil, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So quite a philosophical Phil DeSantis there. Happy that his team's still in it. They're at home. They're going to go for it. It was quite interesting. Both the DeSantis brothers in the Lower Mainland coaching games on the same day.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Mark after. I went, "Oh, did Phil come down after his game to take in this or whatever?" He's like, "No, we went out on Friday night and we got together. First time they'd seen each other for 3 years."
Yeah,
They've been so busy, and all the holidays and breaks, they've either one's gone away on holiday, someone else is gone, so they haven't seen each other for 3 years, which is crazy when you consider how close they are. And
yeah, I know we've talked about it before. I have a lot of time for both of them.
I do as well. I would have liked to have gone today to chat to Phil because I haven't chatted to him this season. Maybe I'll try and get something during the week. And
philosophical Phil was very kind with his remarks. I appreciated them greatly.
He appreciated seeing you as well.
Yeah.
We maybe won't include that bit in the audio.
No, it's okay if you don't. You also, I don't know if they probably stopped recording when he left.
Oh no, it was a live mic the whole time.
Oh, there you go.
I heard everything.
You heard what he said when he was leaving?
Yes.
It was very funny.
He's done well with Valor, and I think for him as a coach, it would mean so much if he can get them into the playoffs for the first time.
Totally.
Now, obviously, it's the same for Vancouver FC as well, but I think for that team, they need to get into the playoffs. Like, their fan base is diminishing. There's always the rumours that the club's up for sale. There's other rumours that it keeps getting offered to people. A lot of it's getting shot down. I do know one party that it was definitely offered to, and it got shot down. And yeah, I mean, it would mean so much to that team if they can get into the playoffs. And interestingly, as Phil said, like, we all know they had to start their season on the road.
Yeah.
They couldn't play at home.
7 games.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Not out of their hands because it was the new pitch that was going down. But the second half of the season, they've been probably the informed team. They've only lost like 3 games.
Yeah, he spoke a little bit about that, and yeah, the way it's kind of been like a recovery run. The final 3 quarters of the season, and they've done admirably. And I sort of said that to him in there, like, about the progress that they've made, and how does he see it and how does he view it. And he talked about they've laid good foundations as a club. And yeah, it would mean the world to them, and I think to him as well, to see them be able to get into the postseason and try and continue kind of in their good form. The crazy thing is whoever finishes 4th, York, and whoever finishes 5th, if you're going to win the thing, you got to play 4 games. Or if you're one of those top 2 teams, you could do it in 2.
Yeah.
Which is, again, maybe a con of the format, but it is definitely an interesting format.
Yeah, I like it. I like some innovation, as we talked about with the pick your playoff opponent and stuff like that. Now, that would be interesting in CPL as well, to see who picks who, because Forge would probably be like, "Oh, we'll pick Cavalry because we always beat them." And
Like I
that would
said,
just be like, that would just wind Tommy up so much.
yeah. I like I said to you, selfishly, I would love it if in this scenario, if Cavalry finishes second and then beats Forge and hosts the final, because then wouldn't mind going to see a final at Spruce Meadows.
And I've still never made it to one of the finals, and I really, really,
Yeah.
really want to at some point.
Spruce
Of
Meadows
course,
technically held the second leg of the first final, right? The first year?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's always been when I can't go because there's some commentary on, and it might be the same again this year as well, but that's for another day. Obviously, it would mean a lot to Valor to get in. Pacific, they're used to getting into the
Yeah.
playoffs, as James mentioned. Vancouver FC are looking to get into the playoffs for their first time as a club in their second year. Zach also got a chance to chat with Afshin after the game today. Here's what Mr. Goatby had to say.
Difficult to allow myself hoping for it, planning for it. It was a really cagey opening first half, followed by a little bit more of a wide second half. Just how did you see it play out from your spot on the side?
Well, I think the way we, from the starting lineup, you notice we tried to play very organized and try to be very pragmatic approach of that we knew it was going to be a 95-minute plus game. And I felt it was important for us not to take the first goal and to stay with the defending block that doesn't give any chance away. And I felt that the only way that we would get a goal against is on a counterattack and or a dead ball situation. And we didn't give many dead balls away. And then we had one counter attack against that cost us the goal. I think as the game grew and as especially in the second half when we got behind, we really, I thought we were very good. We created a lot of chances, equalized the game. There were a few balls that came inside the box that should normally be a goal and be the winner. It pretty much played out the way I wanted, with the exception of that one moment on the counterattack. And it's sad for me and disappointing because this is what we talk a lot about is the organization behind our attack and getting players in the right position. So when we lose the ball, we are in a position to stop the counter and not get caught in a man-to-man situations like we did. But I think it's important for me to, on a Thanksgiving Day, thank all the fans, thank all the supporters for sharing that day with us. We are zero without them, and they're the reason why we're trying to build this game and build this team and this club in this area. So big thanks to all the fans in the BC area that supported us, and they cheered for the team until the 97th.
You can see what you're talking about in terms of your game plan, keeping things tight with, especially with Allen on the left and Paris kind of in front of him, that 4-4-1-1.
Yeah.
It was very solid, compact,
yes.
hard to break down, and lots of good support. So
yeah.
And you could see how they were moving and they're shifting us into a 3-5-2. But having said that, so the first half that played out really great. Second half, obviously, so there's that one moment. It feels like the game changed on your substitution rating. You're done onto the game.
Yeah,
he is in this league at this point in his life, whatever. He is like a game changer.
Yeah.
And maybe you can speak to that a little bit, but also maybe to address like, I know there's some people who'll be like, why isn't he playing more? Or why isn't he starting? Obviously, if you address that, you can say a little more.
Well, I think it's when you get a young player in your team, you need to manage his minutes and manage his loads. You got to also manage his ego and manage how he develops as a player. I think he's developed beautifully for us, and I think the load on the body of a 16-year-old that's growing half a centimeter every night, it's different than a grown man. So I think I'm trying to consider all of that. He could have started today, but I felt he plays very front foot. He wants to go everywhere. He wants to, and that against Valor and home. That if you have too many players that are leaving their positions and going into the final third and leaving yourself open and not as tactical as I want it to be, then leaves you to take counter-attack goals. But I was really pleased with him. I was pleased with all the substitutes. They all came in and did a great job. And I think Alan had a fantastic game, especially left and in central defense. And it was good to see Katie and Chung come to the team. play good minutes that he needed to get closer to his form.
You were correct, of course, and then this will go down to the final match of the season. You have 6 days to get everyone ready for that. Obviously, the occasion of it in and of itself is motivational, but how do you lift the players that it's massive away game level?
I think they're motivated. I think they are confident and motivated. I think that we realize, okay, we have to win the game regardless. So, and hope that something happens in the Pacific game. But I feel that we want to finish the season with a great performance, maybe our best performance of the season, and hope it's good enough that gets us in the next round. I've been in this situation before. I was in China. Our team was playing in League One, fighting for the Super League, and it came down to the last game. We had to win, and 2 other teams had to either draw or lose, and the odds of that is very small. And 60th minute, 0-0. 70th minute, all of a sudden, we score the first goal. We score the second goal. We're winning. 35,000 people. But now everybody's waiting for the result of the other team. And then you hear this boom in the stadium, and everybody's so excited because all the 2 results went our way. So I think when you do the right thing, sometimes the soccer gods are there for you.
And then how do you see things just progress? Next week's going to come and go, and the results going to happen. But how do you see Vancouver Football Club in the last 12 months? How they progress? What's been positive?
I think massive. And you guys have been the witness of it. That now every time you see the team play, we're competitive. We can beat anyone at any place. We've lacked the consistency all season, and we've lacked, in my opinion, the gamesmanship to be able to get points out of different performances. And that comes with more maturity as a club and more maturity as a team.
Thanks so much, Action. All the best for Saturday.
Ashin Goatby chatting about the draw today. Now, he was very confident last week, said, we will be in the playoffs. And I said to you, it's a dangerous thing to say, because there is some in the fan base that want Afshin out. And when you say something like that, and then if you don't deliver, it can be used to beat the coach over the head with. He said this, he didn't deliver. How does he keep his job? Now, Valor's on 28, Vancouver's on 29, Pacific's on 31. Pacific host Forge, that you'd be like, oh, they'll struggle to get anything from that. But Forge, missing players through suspension, have already clinched first, get a chance to rest some guys. You don't know what kind of Forge team it's going to be. They've just coming off a 2-0 defeat. They don't really probably want to go into the playoffs on the back of back-to-back defeats. So you don't know what Forge is going to turn up next week. I think a point will be good enough for Pacific. It would take them to 32. Yes, Vancouver could also get to 32 if they win, and Vancouver would have the tiebreaker over Pacific. But Vancouver's going to Ottawa. It's not a happy hunting ground. And as we talked about, Ottawa's battling with cavalry as well. I just can't see Vancouver getting the 3 points.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It would be very difficult for Vancouver FC to get the 3 points because Ottawa is still trying to overcome Cavalry to get that second spot and to pretend, the path that way is much easier. It's 2 or 3 games, right? If you're going the other way, then it's much going to be much longer, right? So, yeah, it's significant. The Forge thing, I think Vancouver FC has the harder opponent if they're on the road, which makes it even more harder, although they've played arguably sometimes better on the road than they have at home. So maybe that will be helpful. But like I said last week, and I know this didn't really necessarily show this weekend, I wouldn't doubt a Forge, a second string type Forge squad because of the winning at all cost mentality that they have as a club that that Bobby has instilled in them. I always mix those two up. And like I said, there's players there that will be literally battling for trying to prove to Bobby that they deserve to be.
And they want to be in the 18 for the
Yeah.
Playoffs.
So I wouldn't totally write them off, although
No, but Vancouver then have to deliver.
totally Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver.
A draw's no use anymore now next week.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And Valor, don't rule them out either because they're good at home, they're in form, they've got cavalry. It's going to be interesting. It's getting called the outcome. All 4 games kick off at 1 o'clock Pacific time. They will
That'll
be
be
free
nice.
to watch on YouTube, as well as the prime game on One Soccer as well. I won't be able to watch live, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very exciting. And it's what you want come the end of the season. As many teams playing for something. Like Halifax York is a game that means fuck all to both teams now.
Yeah.
So that's the only game
no one's going to be
not
watching.
bother watching that.
Yeah.
And I feel for the Halifax faithful. They've got such a good crowd, and at least they'll get their under 21 minutes now.
The other thing I would do was I want to say, in just regards to the Vancouver FC this week, I think they did a really good job with the town hall event they put on for season ticket holders on Thursday night. I think that was really, really well done, and there was I think owning up to some of the shortcomings from this season off the field stuff. I think, which was really good to hear. I think there was fans communicating some of their concerns, but also some of their desires for the club, just to how they long for the club to move forward. And I think that was really, I think it was a positive evening. I mean, sometimes you can look at these things and say, oh, they're just people saying things to, hopefully, keep people on board, or they just it's like politicians, right? You just say what people want to hear and whatever. But I think
it doesn't sound like it was that. And first, you've got to acknowledge you have a problem to then be able to solve that problem.
Which there was a considerable amount of that. There was very few things in the evening where, Dean Shillington, who was representing the ownership, pushed back on. There's one statement he pushed back on about, a question that came through. They had like an anonymous place people could just ask questions. A question came through where about the stadium and roof and completion and the how the city or the municipality of the township of Langley and Vancouver see some of their communication over that, and over maybe who could look after certain things or whatever. He pushed back on one anecdote that was shared that way, but a lot of it was literally holding the hands up and saying, yeah, we didn't execute that the way we could have or should have or wanted to or whatever. So that was positive. And then also the fan appreciation day, last home game of the year, I think they did really, really well. They had, these bags for the first, 1,000 people with, a scarf and, pink thunder sticks, bandanas.
I saw the pink thunder sticks. I wondered.
Yeah. But so it's just things that, I mean, it's always nice to get a free scarf, and it's a new scarf. So that was kind of good. It was worried it was going to be the same scarf that they've handed out a little bit. And then before the game, they had their locker room sale, and it was I don't know. I guess I was sharing with you. I found it meaningful to find a few things, and there's a bunch of regular stuff that was discounted as well. Old time supporter who you'll know, Chris Endersby, bought one of their very expensive but very nice Letterman jackets.
Were they in the sale?
I don't think they were on the sale. Sorry, they weren't in the. There was two sales. There was the outside of the fan shop, and which was moved into the stadium, where it was you were buying VFC stuff, some old jerseys and some stuff that was the clubs, and then the in shop, which is by the organization that sells their stuff, and that was all discounted as well, just not as heavily as the stuff that was outside. So there was kind of two opportunities to save. But yeah, I saw Chris as I said goodbye to Alex ARG after the media stuff, and he had a bag in his hand, and I was like, oh, what'd you get? And he's like, and I was like, dude, those things are so expensive. And he's like, oh, I got a deal on it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And
they are cool. I do like them.
Oh, they're very nice. I just wouldn't spend that kind of money on.
No, I mean, obviously we'll get them as our Christmas presents from the club. It's very nice, medium size for me, maybe large because I guess you want to put them over something. But I'll take either. We'll see what's going.
You're hilarious. But no, I thought they did that. I thought and there was a few more people in the stadium, which was nice. Obviously, nowhere near where they would long for it to be. But
I was worried when they said the first 1,000's going to get a scarf with it being Thanksgiving and 30,000 at the Whitecaps game. I was like, is it even going to be 1,000? But the feedback I got was it was maybe over 3, and it looked actually quite good.
Yeah, well, the number they announced, I want to say was like 3,400-ish. Which when I asked someone before the game, I was like, "What are you expecting?" They're like, "About 35," and I was like, "Okay,
that's good."
It was encouraging, but yeah, they did a lot of things really well. There was also a moment in the pregame where I've never seen this done before, but it was a nice moment of connection with from the players, where the players actually a few of the players got together and designed a visual display expressing their appreciation to the fans and specifically the fanatics, and including some artistic work by Ben Fisk, and so they made like a banner for the fans as their appreciation. And
that's really nice. You should let me do it next year. I've got a few ideas.
Oh no, oh Michael. Anyways, I know some people kind of crapped on the concept and the idea, but
of course,
I thought it was considering I didn't know they were doing this, but I know Ben and I know his heart, and and it was cool that the other players were involved in the painting, and it made me want to be like, okay, Ben, we need to collaborate on some stuff.
Well, it was nice to see Ben back on the bench again.
Yes, and on the pitch. You got on the pitch.
Guess he's back in the good books.
Yeah.
That is it for the football chat, though. A lot to be decided next weekend. Next weekend's show is going to be interesting. Is it going to be happy times or sad times that we're going to be talking about? Find out soon. Still got this episode's wavelength to come. And a couple of weeks ago, played a song from the Italian band Neeskens. And I was talking about Johan Neeskens and a great Dutch player, playing the same team as Cruyff, maybe didn't get all the attention that Cruyff did. Sadly, passed away last Sunday. Just found out about it after we recorded the show. Aged 73, had a heart attack. So I thought, let's play another song from the band Neeskens. This is their song, The Architects of Football, taken from their 2021 album of the same name. And it samples some commentary about Johan Neeskens at the start and at the end. Have a listen. Italian band Niskins, the architects of football, and Johan Niskins sadly passing away this past week, age 73, played over here in the NASL with the New York Cosmos for 6 seasons, including against the Whitecaps in that historic 1979 semi-final series. 49 caps and 17 goals for the Netherlands as well. R.I.P. That is it, though, for the show now. Just before we go, Zach, it's another late one. It's after 2 a.m. We got somewhat derailed by chatting. Any final thoughts from you this week?
No, just to follow up on last week with the passing of Javi Maltas. His memorial service is this Friday, so October 18th at 1 p.m. out at Maple Ridge. And if you knew him and you want to be a part of that, maybe get in touch with his brother Ozzy, or you can maybe be in touch with me and I'll let you know a little bit more. But yeah, it was a sad week. Kirk and I painted a little banner for him, and
I saw it. It was very prominent on the broadcast. I was telling Caitlin about it. So it was really nice.
Yeah.
I just want to say, since we're doing RIPs and stuff as well, Scottish politician Alex Salmond passed away of a heart attack as well in North Macedonia on Saturday morning. The thinking is he was there doing a speech, and he was probably going to go to the Scotland game in Croatia after it. Age 69, he was the First Minister of Scotland. He was one of those rare politicians that he was obviously very divisive with his political views, but he really captured people's imaginations. He got me so involved in politics and interested in it as well, and it was just such a shock that he passed away. But let's finish on some happier notes this week after last week. I just want to say hi to Philip. Met him at the Whitecaps game today. He's a long-time listener to the show. We were chatting before the game, at halftime, after it. He said, "This episode's going to be marked explicit, isn't it?" I said, "It probably is, yes." So it was nice to meet Philip. He's listened to it from back in the day, and when Steve was on, he was asking how Steve was doing. So nice to meet you today.
It's always nice to when that happens, right? Every so often it happens, and someone's like, "Oh, I listened to the podcast." I'm like, "Oh man."
I'm sorry.
It's not simply for you and I just to talk about things that we appreciate
and play music that nobody likes.
Yeah. But people actually do listen to it, and it's a part of
people do like the music too.
Yeah, it's a part of the rhythm of their lives, and it's just kind of interesting.
It's been interesting watching the numbers go up and down and over the years, and like COVID killed numbers for ages, and then we're slowly building it up again, getting good numbers, and then the last couple of weeks with the Whitecaps form,
it's hurt things.
You notice a dip.
That's too bad.
And it's the thing, but it's the same with the Whitecaps, Vancouver FC. You've got a winning team, folk come out, folk are interested, folk want to listen, they want to hear folk talking about it. Yeah. They want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But everything just goes hand in hand. We've got plans for some changes as well next year in the podcast. We've kind of talked a little bit about it. We've got to kind of maybe thrash those out a little bit more. Might go to 2 a week. Not every single week, but something that we might look to do, because there's obviously so much content. I don't even get to, even with the extra ones that we bring out, there's so much stuff that I just never bring out, just finding time to do it. So we've got that. If anyone wants to get involved as well in the podcast next year, always looking for some new voices, get in touch. AFTN Canada on Twitter, aftncanada@hotmail.com.
Especially ARG if you're listening.
AGR, you keep calling it RG. I thought I'll let it go. After the 4th time, I was like,
Alex.
Well, it's funny, when we were doing commentary in the first year of League One BC, I always butchered his name. So then I just went with AGR after that. Not good with the French names.
I have to remember that. Yeah. That must be the lateness of this show. That's what I'll blame it on.
Yes.
But
HER does about 3 podcasts. I don't think he's got time to do any more.
that's true. He has a lot going on. I missed. You were talking there about some others. Like I look forward to the postseason because we do some different things in the postseason.
Yeah, I like that's when we have.
Or not the postseason. I mean,
that's
the
coming up in
off-season.
2 weeks. That's fine.
I mean the off season, not the postseason.
Not the postseason. That's not coming up in 2 weeks. Well, it kind of is, I guess. But yeah, the off season will be starting soon. We'll have our off season end of season interviews from everyone.
And then the fun starts. I love those. But we do need to do. I think we need to do some panel ones because I want to do some more Jeopardy.
Yeah, I do as well,
or some other stuff. And maybe AGR could be a part of one of those. Or
he's got to find the time.
Yeah,
we'll get Felipe on. We'll have Har.
Yeah, Felipe. Yeah, Har. Yeah, Felipe and Har.
But on that note, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, talking happy playoff times. Fingers crossed. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. Enjoy your turkey and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN